What's going on, everybody? Welcome to FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm your host, Brent, Bodkin. My co-host, Quaysie Maule, is going to join us in a few seconds. Having a couple of technical difficulties. I mean, you got to give him a little grace. He just moved, and as we all know, the moving experience is a headache and a half, and getting the internet set up and everything else is, part of that whole problem, right? I mean, newer, bigger, and better things, but again, moving, especially when you need Wi-Fi and all that, sometimes it's a pain. So Quaysie, he will be with us for this episode. He was on when we were testing things out before, but his feed went off a little bit. But anyways, I promise, Quaysie will be on momentarily on the show. We have two guests coming up on this show, so obviously stay tuned for that. We have one coming up in just a few minutes. Again, big show coming up today. Like I said, obviously, we talked about last week, right? We're past the midway point of the season for every single division now here in FPF. And things are exciting, right? We're getting ready for the race now to the playoffs. Some divisions have about 3 to 4 weeks before the playoffs begin. Some divisions have a couple more than that. But again, the playoff race is heating up now in FPF. And speaking of the playoffs, I want to introduce a guest on the show who's been in the playoffs. I think almost every year. I want to say that he's been in FPF, and even if I'm wrong on that, if he says, yeah, you're 100% right, I would fully agree with him. And yeah, there we have Quaysie right here. So I think Quaysie's just setting everything up there. All right, so anyway, so our first guest coming up again is someone that I've tried to get onto the show going back to last season. Just his schedule and our schedule sometimes didn't always mix, and that's what it is sometimes, right? When you host a podcast, is trying to you want to get the great guest on, and this guy is a good guest, but again, getting the schedule sometimes is a little tricky. Obviously, in the summer, for some people, myself included, things slow down a little bit, so he's able to join us tonight. But we'll get to him in about a minute or two once Quaysie is up and running and ready to go. I know one of the segments we usually get into is what we saw. So that's games that either Quizzy, and I both score kept over the last week. I'm not sure if he had a chance to score keep any. I did score keep some. I know last Monday I talked about I was at Mary Vic. This Monday I was at Papineau, a little closer for me. Actually, a lot easier to get to. I got there in 20 minutes. I was actually shocked, and it started at 7 o'clock as opposed to Mary Vic when it starts at 7:15. It takes me like an hour to get there, but it is what it is. I'll get to those Mary Vic games. A lot of news outside of FPF. We're going to get to in today's episode too. Congratulations are in order for Clara Baudouin. We'll get to that a little later in the show. Of course, we have the players that are spotlighted for this week. We're going to get to all those guys and all those girls in just a few minutes. Quaysie, you're good?
Hey,
I'm
all right,
back. So welcome to the show, Quaysie. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Brent.
How did the move go?
It was good. Fast.
Okay.
Very fast. Yeah, very fast.
Are you still in Broussard or?
Same number.
Okay, nice. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get to our first guest of the show, he's been patiently waiting for the last couple minutes, so a big thank you to him. He made his debut. So on the FPF website, it says 2023. Now, as I've been proven wrong by the website, or the website, I should say, has been proven wrong more than one occasion, but it says his debut season. Part of me was in it was in the spring season of 2023. Now, and go through a laundry list of teams. I could go through all the teams he's playing on, but we all know him from Idaho Ute Pimps, or occasionally called Idaho Ida Pimps. He is the quarterback, and I don't think I'm taking a big risk when I say here the captain as well of Idaho Ute Pimps, currently in Division B. It's Brady Ohanessian. Hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So Brady, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me on. Glad we could finally make the time work after the back and forth we've had.
Yeah,
excited to be on.
Okay. You're worth the wait. You're worth the wait.
Thank you.
I should have also introduced you as Quaysie's worst enemy. I mean, Quaysie has bashed you on his podcast numerous seasons, and you kind of proven wrong most of the time. So I should put also Quaysie is number one, the quarterback that Quaysie hates the most. I should put that in your title as well.
I'm not sure about worst enemy. He's gotten us a few times too, once in the finals as well. So I think it's pretty back and forth between us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. So started off, man. How are you feeling right now? Obviously, your team in Division B, you have a pretty tight record. You guys are coming off of a big win over FPF's Wanted this past weekend in Laval. How are you feeling so far about your crew?
I mean, feel great about the team we have. Coming into the season, we had a few guys taking breaks for the spring, so we weren't sure how the roster was going to come together. With we have Danik off, Dondre, James, so three of our top receivers from last season. But we were able to get Jerome back from injury, Marv back from his paternity leave, a few new additions, and then we picked up right where we left off. And it's honestly, the team's got good vibes and we're rolling.
Nice. Yeah, looking at it here, yeah, you're right. So obviously you added a couple of guys. You had to say at least for now goodbye to a couple of guys. Like I said, some guys taking a break. But looking at your roster, you still have a lot of good weapons. Obviously, Marvin Steinberg's there, Manu's there, Justin White, right? Some of the core guys. They've been there for Jerome was back, like you said, from injury and that. As the quarterback and as the leader of this team, like how challenging. So when you look at some of the new guys you've added on, like Jean Samuel Cormier, you added on Nick Boucher is a guy I like a lot. I saw him a lot. I saw him in the winter finals in the lower division. He's making his way up now. I had a chance to run into him. So after I was talking to you on Sunday in Laval as I was leaving, he was coming in. So I had a quick chance to say hi to him. Khalil Grebi as well, right? Your new rusher. Mohammed Lamory as well, right? So some new additions to your team. How has it been ingratiating and getting those guys into your lineup and into your system?
Honestly, pretty flawless. I mean, a lot of them are really talented players, so they've made it quite easy, right? Guys like Khalil, who's been rushing now for several seasons, joined last season with us, won Rusher of the Year, and he's picked up from there. Nick Boucher is a guy we played against. Realized that this is probably someone that should be playing in the higher divisions, kind of taking that tall jump ball type receiver that I like to use role, and he's ran with it. So it's been a pretty flawless transition to some of the new guys.
Nice. Like I said, you guys are coming off of a big win, 49-27 again this past weekend against FPF's most wanted. You looking at your individual stats, right? I mean, you went 22 of 31, 286 yards, 7 touchdowns in the game. 3 of them went to James Nguyen, right? So James Nguyen is a guy who's usually on the team. I guess this year he's just subbing, but again, he had a big day. Nick Boucher, who we just talked about, had 2 TDs in that game. He also hit Marvin, he hit Manu for scores as well. If you can just take me back to that game this past weekend against FPS Most Wanted, what, in your opinion, worked really well for you guys in that contest?
So I'll tell you how the game started. We have history with these guys, having played them in a couple of playoffs. They've gotten the better of us. We beat them in a finals in Div C. So there's some rivalry. And we started the game. They jumped out, I think 5 minutes in, they were up 21-8. I threw a pick to, I forget his name, Alexander, I think his last name is.
Yeah. Wendy's.
Yeah, he undercut a route, got a pick. Barazoni threw 3 touchdowns on, I think, his first 6-7 passes. And we thought we were going to have another game where he puts 40 on us, but Justin had a timely pick that kind of changed the momentum. And then he had a second and then a third pick. So he really swung the momentum in that game because early they were all over us.
And looking, so at the half, right, it's 34-21 you guys. So obviously you had a slow start. You guys bounced back. Second half, though, okay, you guys only scored 15 points, right? But you guys held them to, at least it says here, you guys held them to 6 points in the second half. So, I mean, doesn't matter whether you're playing Division A or playing Division F or Co-Ed 3, Co-Ed 4, doesn't matter, 5v5. You hold the team to 1 touchdown in the second half. Obviously, your defense is doing something right. But if you can, obviously, and you're a guy, I was going to get to this later, but you're a guy who doesn't just play offense, right? You're one of the top defenders on your team as well. How were you guys able to slow down their offense in the second half?
We're just making plays. I think after he threw the first 2 picks, he started holding it a little longer, maybe not trusting his reads enough, giving us more time to go get the 3rd, 4th pick that we had on him. It was honestly, I think it was more so just their offense being out of sync. They gave us opportunities, and that's what our defense does. We give up a lot of yards, sometimes points, which is, I think, attributed to us scoring fast. We're on defense a lot of the game, but we're opportunistic and we go for the ball. And oftentimes we lead in interceptions, even though we give up the most points in yards. So I think that's what our defense did. They gave us the ball on offense, and that's how we were able to run away with it a bit.
Nice. Just looking at the Division B standings right now, right? So you guys are in first place, 5-1 record. So Hard Eight, right behind you guys at 4-1. Les Petits Carrot 4-2, so they're 2 points behind. Actually, a couple of teams right behind you guys. FPF Most Wanted, who again you just beat. Silent Ticklers, right? So they're all tied kind of for second place with 8 points. And obviously, you have the Bruins, KGP Dynasty, Speed Academy, Ice Pack, Camping Saint Fontaine, and No Regard. And last, as you look forward now, again, you have 4 games remaining in the regular season for your team, right? So looking at your upcoming schedule right now, you guys take on KGP Dynasty this coming Tuesday in Bristol, so I shall be scorekeeping that game. And then you guys finish off with Camping Saint Bonté, a veteran team, but a team that's struggling this year. Then you finish off with Les Petits Carrots, and then could be the game of the year, Hard Eight, to end the regular season on Tuesday, August 4th. With the win you guys just had, like I said, over Idaho Ute Pimps. So for you guys, that was win number 3 in a row. Right, the only stumble you guys have so far is week 3 against No Regard. Obviously, a surprise, upset surprise to everybody that they knocked you off. Not saying anything against their talent, but it is what it is, right? You guys are at the top of the standings. You're in last place. But you guys right now, 3-game winning streak. Again, 4 games left to go. Obviously, getting the W is probably the number one priority. But what else are you looking to see from your team the rest of the way in the regular season?
Honestly, just keeping up what we're doing. It's not faltered down the stretch, right? I think we're creating turnovers. We've scored 40 points and 40 plus points in all 6 of our games so far this year. Honestly, if nothing changes, the best, just keep improving and keep doing what we're doing. We have a couple good defenses coming up at the end, in the back end of our schedule, right? It's Hard Eight's defense, always good. Petit Carrot seem to be doing really well. And like you said, 2 veteran teams also. So just got to keep scoring. And yeah, I like our chances.
So you mentioned earlier with Nick Boucher, right? A guy that you played against, and you said it's a good idea to have him on your team. But Whedon's Alexandre, right? A guy who you played against this past weekend. He ended up playing on your team. I think it was the same day. You ended up suiting up for the Braves. Yeah, Sunday in Laval. You ended up playing for the Braves in Division A. Obviously, they were missing a lot of their guys due to a tournament. So you played quarterback for the Braves against Ben McMahon's Vultures. They came out on top 48-40, but again, a chance to play Division A. Guillaume Bellon, right? So he was there, but then a bunch of other subs, guys like Nathan Tran and Charles Olivier Vachon. What was the experience like for you playing Division A?
It was good. It was obviously a mismatch of players that just kind of got thrown together so that there could be a game. But honestly, it was fun. We played last spring in Div A as well, so I had some experience there already. And just anytime I could play with the new rules, new rules at this point, they're not new, but the 4 downs to midfield, get some reps in that. I'm going to take advantage of it.
Now, so this is something I ask all quarterbacks. So I had a talk actually during one of your games on the weekend with Chris Rivet. So he was a guest on the show last week, and he was telling me, and he said it as well on a podcast last week, that he's a 6v6 guy who he was in that tournament that took place last week, obviously here in Montreal. Claude Robillard, and he's like, I really like the 5-on-5, and he's like, I'm gonna start transitioning my game to just play 5-on-5, which a lot of quarterbacks are doing that. And obviously, like again, you just had some experience playing with the 5v5 rules. Some of them this past weekend with the Braves. Is that something you can see yourself maybe down the road transitioning to, or you prefer the original 6-on-6 format from FPF?
So with Idaho, our plan, we were discussing it a couple weeks ago, first fall, was to play Tier 1, Tier 2. Then we entered the 5v5 Nationals tournament, and we really enjoyed it. We did okay. We lost, I think, in like the 10th overtime in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was a fun experience, and I think after that there was a lot of momentum, a lot of people that were pushing to potentially do 5s instead of the 2 6v6 divisions for the fall. So as things are going, that's what we're trending towards. We might actually dip our toes in the 5v5 and see how we do.
Okay. Well, breaking news.
Sorry.
You heard it here first. Nice. All right.
Brent, I just have a question for Brady since we're on the 5v5 topic. Do you think you would prefer, like, I know right now you're a 6v6 quarterback and you're used to kind of the rules, Division B, and you played Division A last year with the rules, but do you think you'll be able to adapt? Like, would you, like, let's just say going around this the next 3-4 years, do you think you would in your mind, like, I know it's a weird question kind of, but In the next 3 years, let's say, do you think you would rather play fives than you rather play sixes?
Um, I mean,
Like when you get the experience and stuff, I'm saying.
yeah,
Playbook, play calling.
that's what I need. It's honestly, I need the reps to kind of see how the game is. In the tournament, it was my first time ever throwing 5v5. The first game of the tournament was my first time ever throwing 5v5, so I didn't really have many plays. And the first game went well. We ran a pretty traditional offense, and then we came across, we played against Montreal Magic and the Braves, and offense wasn't rolling as much as I would have liked. But with reps and some experience, kind of tailoring the offense to 5v5, I could see myself eventually liking 5v5. I think there's a lot more room for creativity. The game's a little more open, so it's definitely something I could see us enjoying. Just need to get better at it.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So just want to ask you. So obviously in FPF, right? Like I said at the top, right? You made your debut in 2023. And like, how'd you find out about FPF, and why'd you want to get involved in FPF?
So I played tackle football growing up, and I stopped playing tackle. I played in Laval, and then I played for my high school, and then I had to make the choice between hockey and football. I chose hockey, so I stopped playing. And then a couple years later, I didn't really know there was a big flag football scene. This was maybe like 2021, so a little while back. I wasn't too sure. And I was throwing a football in the park with a few friends. Some guy approached me. To this day, never seen the person again, so I don't know what affiliation he had to this other league that he recruited me to. But he's like, "Oh, you throw a football well, you should try flag. There's this league that plays on Saturdays." So I gave it a try, and that's where I met a bunch of people. And then Iggy actually introduced me to FPF. It was his team that I subbed for 2023 because my in-laws, I think Division 3 I came in, subbed a game for him at quarterback, and I really enjoyed the level of competition, the the organization of the league and all that. So we put in a team the spring right after immediately. We've been there ever since.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see right here. Kiss my in-laws. Yep, Division C. Surprised I didn't play against you. Okay, that's weird. All right. So when you look at your evolution as a player, right? So I'm just going through your stats right now, right? Obviously, you're I'm not trying to make you blush. I'll go through some of your stats, though, right? So you have as a quarterback, you have over 25,000 passing yards. You have 621 touchdown passes. You completed about 66% of your passes, so that's pretty impressive, right? But like I said earlier, right, it doesn't end there. You're a really solid defender as well, right? So I'll go over your defensive stats right now. So you have over 250 tackles. You have 54 pass deflections, I believe. Yeah, 54 pass deflections, 60 INTs, and 7 pick sixes. So there are a lot of quarterbacks, even in high divisions, right, that do play both ways. But for the most part, it's rarity. Like a guy like Kevin Wyeth, he can play some defense, but does he really do it that often? No. Jordan Panetta, he plays a bit of defense, fine, I'll give him that. But usually more often than not, you'll see him on the sideline when his defense is on. A guy like Ben McMahon, right? The guy we talked about earlier, okay, so he'll rush, right? Because he's probably one of the fastest players in FPF. But again, for the most part, most guys don't always go both ways in the higher levels. You not only are doing that, but you're doing it at a high level. So what do you think in your opinion has made you such a good defensive player, and how much pride do you have in being able to play really top notch defense?
So when I was playing tackle, I was always a backup quarterback, and I would be starting safety for most teams that I played on. So I had a defensive background coming into flag, and might be a weird thing for a quarterback to say. I've always enjoyed playing defense more than I have playing offense. So when we make our teams, and we usually have a fairly small team, uh, we play both ways. Most of our guys get those reps, and I take a lot of pride in my defense. It's something I enjoy doing. Something I don't want to be just that quarterback who's on the team because they're a good quarterback but can't cut it defensively. So I want to be able to be out there and make an impact even in the higher divisions on D. So we've really worked on that.
Okay, nice. Right, so you said you played in Laval, right? Like for the Laval Bulldogs, or
No, younger. And I played Chambly Blues, I think, when I was 8, 9 years old, up until I joined Laval Liberty, my high school team. And uh, I went to Vanier, but that's where I stopped playing football and decided to pursue hockey.
okay. What position did you play in hockey?
I was a defenseman.
Okay, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
both
You're left.
sports. I like to hit people. Played safety in hockey, safety in football, defense in hockey, and I like playing physical, and that's what I did.
Okay. So you're like a defensive defenseman?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm mostly.
Okay, okay, okay. How's that shot from the point? Can you help out on the PK or help out on the power play or
Yeah, no, I had my day. I wouldn't say I was the most offensive guy. I was more so a PK kind of guy, but throw me out there and I won't be out of position too badly.
okay, okay, nice. How long did you play hockey for?
I played hockey from I think my parents got me on skates. I was maybe 3, 4 years old, and I played up until 21.
Nice, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I played all through my juniors, and then after that, I didn't want to go to any senior leagues, and it's a little harder to get into like recreational hockey as opposed to flag with like the arena availabilities and all that. So that's kind of where I stopped and came back to the flag, well, to football in general.
Okay. So you said you played junior, right? Where did you play junior hockey?
Laval.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
I have a
Um,
question. Sorry, Brent, just cut you off. I have a
no,
question. Where did the name Idaho You to Pimps come from?
yeah.
I get this one a lot, and it's honestly not that great a story, or I guess it might be a good story. When we first formed our team, right? Person found us in the park. We put together a team with a few friends that had played football and not, and I think there was a guy who played maybe 2 games with us. When we were trying to decide the team name, he was in the group chat. He's like, "Oh, this would be funny," and we're like, "Oh, we have nothing better." We stuck with it. The guy played 2 games left, and we stuck with that name ever since.
Hmm.
It's after our first few seasons, we're like, you know what? It's a bit of a ridiculous name, but it's what we're known as, and we'll stick with it and own it.
Yeah, you can't change it now at this
Yeah,
point. It's gonna be completely different. So
but yeah. At the 5v5 tournament, we had refs asking us what the meaning behind our name was, and this, and teams from out of country or out of town, and I'm like, yeah, it's a play on words. That's all I could tell you.
hmm.
There's a couple of seasons though where you guys kind of flip it, right? Sometimes it's Idaho Ute Pimps, sometimes it's Idaho Ida Pimps.
When we put in that second team, we do the Idaho Ida Pimps. If we put in a
Okay.
third, we'll have to figure out another name.
Okay. Okay. I'm a little surprised you guys went with Idaho Ute Pimps over Idaho Ida Pimps, but all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so looking at some of your teammates, right? We mentioned some guys before, like obviously Jerome, Manu, Danik, Marvin, Dondre, Sam. Out of all the guys, so I'm going to get you a little bit of hot water here. I hope you don't sit on the fence with this answer. Justin White as well. With all those top-notch receivers that you throw the ball to, who, I won't say who's your favorite receiver, but who do you think out of those guys is the best receiver that you've played with so far in FPF?
Ooh, a tough one. That's tough to answer because the way we have our teams, we have receivers that kind of excel at like different roles, and depending on the matchups, we use them all. So maybe a bit of a cop out answer because I don't really have an answer to the question. But if I had to choose one who's most likely to probably win the one-on-one, if it came to it, I'd probably go with Danik.
Okay. Okay.
But like I said, he's like a guy like Danik from a guy from like Jerome to a guy like Marv, like 3 very different styles, and depending how the defense is playing us and defend deciding to game plan for us, like all of them could be the better receiver on any given day, really.
Okay. Okay. Out of those guys, who has the best hands?
The best hands out of all our guys. Best hands. Um, Jerome or Manu?
Okay. Okay.
Definitely not
Okay.
Marv.
Okay. Okay. Who runs the best routes?
Best routes Jerome.
Okay. Okay.
He's the one who has the more option routes, and if it comes to man, he's more likely to beat someone on the cut. Best routes Jerome, yeah.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this one already, but I'm going to ask you, who's that one receiver who thinks they're open all the time, no matter what?
Marv.
I'll
All right.
agree with that one.
Yeah. Same.
You could
All
have
right.
two guys on him. That hand's going up. He's like, why did I not get the ball if it's an incomplete?
Yeah,
Marv's always
especially,
open.
especially if it's incomplete.
Okay. Okay. When you look at the quarterbacks, right, in right now in Division B, um, where do you put yourself amongst the quarterback? And, actually, not even just Division B, just in terms of some of the best we have in Division A and Division B, right? In FPF, where do you place yourself amongst the best in those in the category?
I mean, it's hard to place myself, at not having played against all of them, but I'd like to think I'm near to the top. It's definitely getting the experience against the higher competition. I feel like maybe the last 2, 3, 4 seasons, I've definitely improved a lot. Went from only having the deep ball to now being more well-rounded. So I'm working my way up to the upper echelon with some of those guys, but I don't think I'm quite there yet.
Okay.
Um,
Well, and what? Go.
Sorry, go ahead, Brent. Go.
No, no, go for it. Go for it.
No,
Go
so
for it.
I have two questions for you. One is kind of going backwards and one's going kind of forward. So if let's just say we're in tiers, right? So A being the best, B being not the worst, like whatever, and then C, D, I guess where would you put yourself as a tier, like tier A, B, or C or D?
I'd say B tier.
Okay.
I think there's still another level I could get to. Obviously, that comes with maybe going into the higher divisions and doing what I'm doing, right?
Mhm.
Um, and being able to have answers to the really good defenses of the division, um, that other people tend to have more frequently. But I definitely put myself in the B tier, hopefully trending upwards.
Mm, okay. And this is a question kind of on the spot. You're kind of saying that I saw you at nationals and you're kind of doing the 5v5, and then you guys went to 10. I think it was like 9 or 10 overtimes, which is
Yeah.
insane. Why weren't you at quarterback when the overtime started?
I actually didn't play quarterback that game. We had played them.
Okay.
So we had played them as our fourth game of the round robin. And as I was mentioning, the lack of experience in 5v5 kind of got to us. So we played Isaiah, tall rusher who takes the middle, and then we played the rusher for H3 who was like 6'7", 6'6", who was also taking up the middle. I didn't really have the playbook in 5v5 yet to adapt and move the ball. And we had Yvan, who that rusher 6'6" isn't going to keep up with, right? So Yvan actually threw the entire game and he put up, I think we scored like 46, 47 points. So we liked the
Okay.
matchup better. He had the 5v5 experience, um, and we ran with it. He kept scoring, and I wasn't going to take him off when he wasn't being stopped. So it was his game to play, and he played great.
Okay, interesting. Because I was playing. We played at the same time, but our game finished, so I got to watch you guys when it started overtime. And then I saw Ivan as quarterback, so I wasn't sure exactly why this switch happened. But if you said it was the beginning of the game, then I
Yeah,
guess.
we
But
rolled with the matchup, the hot hand, and that's kind of why we want to play 5v5. We ran into these tall rushers that kind of stopped the offense that I like. 6v6 I could adapt. I know how to work with it, but 5v5 on the tighter field, our offense wasn't really moving against those kind of matchups. So that's the kind of thing I think we need reps for to learn how to deal with. Maybe use more second quarterback, more trickery, open up the game a bit. We just didn't have that at the
mhm.
time. It was our fourth game playing 5v5.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Nice. When you look at certain defenders, right? Obviously, you played against Quaysie, you played against a lot of the top defenders in this league. Who's that one defender that you like to, or even one team that you love to go against? Or who's that one defender and one team that you think brings out the best in you?
Um, I mean, I like playing against the top defenders, right? It's how I'm going to improve. It's how our team's going to improve. So I've struggled with a few defenders, Quaysie being one of them. He's picked me off a few times. Um, Gab Champagne usually gives me a hard time. Mancini gives me a hard time. So any of those guys, I feel, always brings out the best in us, and playing those caliber of defenders is a good opportunity to grow our game.
Okay, okay. Um, Quick random question. You're an NFL fan, I imagine, right? Do you have a
Yeah,
team? What's
Patriots.
your team? Okay, all right. Pretty good year. Pretty good year. I I had a conversation about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago with Mocon, and we were talking, right? We were talking random quarterbacks. We were always talking ball. And your name came up. And I said, when I see you play, I might have written this in one of the articles a while back too. I can't remember, but when I see you play, I think of Josh Allen because you have some wheels. You don't run as often as Josh does, but you have some wheels. I've seen you take off. You could take off. Obviously, you have that really strong arm. You're able to kind of get the guys around you to rally. You've won some championships. Obviously, Josh Allen hasn't, but you're able to really make all those throws and you're accurate with the ball and you don't mind getting physical, right? And I don't know. For me, that's what I think of when I see your game sometimes. Who do you think? Like, what quarterback do you try to resemble your game after, or model your game after? I should say.
So I've gotten the Josh Allen comparison a lot before, just the way I like chucking it deep a lot, and I guess a bit of a bigger person. But I'd go. Josh Allen's a good one, but being a Pats fan and being a Bills player, maybe not the best. I'd go actually give me Drake May. He likes his deep ball. He also could run, and he's on the good team. So we'll go with Drake May.
Okay.
Bit of a homer pick, but
all right. How you liking the Patriots this coming year?
yeah, it's I mean, I think it's going to be hard to replicate the season they had last season. I think it was the right circumstances that took them there. I don't think they were necessarily ready for it yet, but they've made some improvements, and yeah, I think they'll be in contention again. Definitely anything short of a playoff win or two would be a disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at all the teams you played on, right? And obviously you have the Patriots, right? So Patriots, and they bring in a guy like AJ Brown. A team is made up of different personalities, right? As you know. Who on your team is like the jokester? Who's the guy that's gonna keep things loose, always make people laugh, always act stupid? Who's that guy on your team?
Um, I'm not gonna lie. We have a bunch of people on our team who don't talk most of the time. We have a very silent team. uh, yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily have, some teams have the people who like to talk and the people who are like, actually, you know what? I changed my answer. Nick Boucher this year, his first year with us. He normally we have a very quiet huddle. Nobody's speaking. We're not the most in your face kind of team, but he definitely brings the spark and brings some energy that sometimes we lack. So I'm gonna go with Nick.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I was as an ass was the quietest guy on your team, and if you're saying the whole team is quiet, it kind of kills that question. Um, who do you think on your team's like the most underrated player? Because every year I find on certain teams, especially in the higher divisions, right? You have some of the marquee names like yourself, obviously like Marvin, Jerome, so on and so forth, Manu. But then there's always a guy who you're like, okay, kind of flies under the radar, or a girl in some cases flies under the radar, and by mid-season or even before the playoffs, like wow, this person kind of exploded and no one saw it. The people on your team know about it, but everyone else is just starting to know as the season goes on, right? So who's that one player on your team who you think is really underrated and hasn't got their due yet, but is pretty close to getting it?
So for our current roster, that one's definitely Justin White. In the 5v Type 5 tournament we played in, I think in the round robin, he led the tournament in picks. I think he's near the top again this season. Very underrated defender that's played with us now for a few seasons. And I don't really think he's well known outside of maybe our team and a few others. So definitely Justin White. And from previous rosters we have, I'd say James Nguyen. It's a really big target, puts up big numbers. He's a snapper, so sometimes people don't give snappers the credit when they're putting up those kind of numbers, but I think he's very underrated.
Okay. I just want to go back to that last question. I thought with that last question when I asked like who's kind of that talk or whatever, I thought you were gonna say Andrew Grant.
Yeah, we haven't had Andrew for a couple seasons now, but our huddles were not quiet when we had Andrew. I'll tell you that.
It's funny because so Andrew and I go to the same gym, and in the gym he's like the quietest guy ever.
Is he? I don't believe you.
Dude. I swear to God, he comes in, he does his workout. We always say what's up to each other. How's everything going? How's FPF? Whatever. And he's quiet as heck. This is workout. He's like, all right, I'm out or he's out, whatever. And that's it. But obviously in FPF, I remember covering him when he was in like Division 6 in FPF, and he was like talking and talking and talking. Every division he started to decline, his mouth got louder and louder. So, and it shut out to Andrew Grant. Haven't seen him in a while. I don't think he's in FPF period this season, but he's a good dude.
I wasn't aware that he could stop talking, so that's news to me.
Nice, nice. All right, man. Before we get you out of quick, you have any other questions, Quaysie? Or
No, I'm good.
um, so before I get you out here, I just want to ask you one more. Obviously, again, like I said, you have a couple of games, 4 games left in the regular season. Playoffs are coming up. Two questions really. So, what do you guys have to do? Pardon me. What do you guys have to do to make sure you guys go all the way? And the second question is, if you guys end up getting this W, I know you talked about the fall season, maybe doing a little 5v5. Will you guys be hopping to tier one in the fall and maybe in the winter division one, or what do you guys have planned for the future?
So, I mean, so to answer the first part of your question, like I said, we just gotta keep playing the way we're playing, right? Close out the season strong. And what we have in store for fall, it's not confirmed yet, but we are getting a lot of our guys back that were taking spring off for different reasons, a few with injuries. So we should have Danik, Dondre, James back. So we'll either have a tier 1 and a tier 2, or a tier 2 and a 5v5 competitive. So we'll definitely have one team in the higher division, whether it be 6v6 or 5v5, we're not sure. And then we'll put together our tier 2 team for sure.
Okay, nice, nice. Okay, okay. All right, man. So I just want to say thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate it, dude. I know it's been a long time coming. Since finally got you on the pod. You're always more than welcome to come back. And again, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thanks,
All
Brady.
right. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Bye.
So that was Brady Ohanessian coming on to the show, again, quarterback of Idaho and captain of Idaho Ute Pimps as well. So we're gonna have another guest coming on in about 5 minutes here. Uh, so it's quick before we get to our next guest, man. Let's hop into it. Again, like I said, a lot of exciting. I don't know. Did you have a chance to scorekeep last week, or you weren't scorekeeping at all?
No, I don't. I haven't been. I haven't score kept. I think I scored up once. I think it was like week 1,
Okay, no
but
worries, man.
no,
No worries.
I haven't been score keeping. But Brent, do you want to
Wait,
just kind of go like so? We talked about Division B with Brady. I don't think there's
yeah,
like much really to say. Two teams are not making playoffs. It seems like No Regard and Cap Butte is going to be the bottom of the list. Kevin Butte's only played 4 games so far, so they have a couple games
yeah,
where
the
they
chance.
they still
Yeah,
they still have a while before we kind of say they're out. And then No Regard is 1-6. They got 3 games left, and they're gonna have to
they're
at
out.
least win
They're out.
two of
They're
these.
out.
You think so? Because their
No,
their
no
their
regard.
back
Yeah,
end
no
is
regard.
their back end is not bad. They play Ice Pack. Ice Pack is not the greatest team. They play Speed
Yeah, but
Academy again.
yeah,
Speed Academy, it's a newer team. Like, and then they play KGP Dynasty, where technically they should win the athletic side of that ball game, and then they just have to make sure Phil Color is kind of off his game a bit. The last 3 games they have are winnable. Like, I don't see them
they're
like
they're, they're all winnable. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. So I see these guys almost every week when I play at Concordia, when I scorekeep at Concordia. I'm gonna see them when I play and scorekeep Saturday as well. I'm sure you're 100% right. You're not wrong with what you said. Their last 3 games are definitely winnable. But you know what? They've had a bunch of other games that are winnable, and they haven't really won any of them except for one. Like I said, they knocked off Idaho Ute Pimps. All the credit in the world for that. I watched the game against the Bruins. No regard should have won that game. They dropped the game. Right, they dropped the game winning touchdown at the end, and they had tons of opportunities to win that. They already got so they played hard 8, right? Guys beat them by 10 points. Okay, that happens fine. And in the game against the Silent Ticklers, they put up 18 points. Ice Pack, I agree with you. Ice Pack, are they the greatest team? No, but Ice Pack with Alex Zalewski, I will say they put up 50 on Speed Academy, right? They knocked out Speed Academy. They knocked out KGP. They're not a bunch of actually a 2 game winning streak for Ice Pack. They knocked off KGP and they knocked off Speed Academy, right? So credit to those boys on doing that. They're not a bunch of scrubs. The thing with Ice Pack is just most of those guys aren't known players in Division B, right?
yeah.
That's why people are kind of sleeping
But
on them. But I think no regard should beat them, but will they? I don't know. I wouldn't bet any money
No,
on that. And then
it,
okay, yeah,
it,
Speed Academy. Speed Academy is a talented team, but they can't get out of their own way. Speed Academy.
no,
I still
exactly.
think they're more talent. I think than
I,
do they
I
have more
just
talent.
I just feel that Norgard's back end of the schedule for the last three games, they're playing the bottom five teams, right? Right now you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
KGP
yeah.
at
You're right.
7,
You're right.
Speed Academy at 8, and then you have Ice Pack at 9. So like you're not playing Idaho anymore. You're not playing a Hard Day. You're not playing Lipitska. You're not
Very
playing
true.
FPF
Very true.
Wanted. Like if they're gonna make a if someone says, okay, well, our last three games against these last three teams, I'm like, okay, well, you're not dead in the water. If you told me no regards last three games of Silent Ticklers, FPF Most Wanted, Pizza Cat, I'm like, okay, no, they're not winning any of these games. Not even close. I personally just feel like they do still have a chance to win these games just because Ice Pack and Speed Academy, I'm not going to say that they're not Division B teams because I think they are, but I think they're in the tier of Division B and C. So like they're in the mid tier where compared to like
Yeah,
a team like
yeah.
Hard Eight, it's completely different.
But no, 100%. You're right. Again, it's just a thing. No regard should be beating these teams. All right, I guess you're taking a break. No regard should be beating these teams, but when they're supposed to beat teams in the past, did they really do it? No, that's the reason why they've struggled. They haven't made the playoffs in a long time, right? I think that um, they could conceivably be beat all. They beat Idaho U to pins, right? Teams in first, so I mean, no regard takes the field, they could actually beat all three of these teams. I just don't think they'll be able to do it. No regard's problem is they can't get out of their own way. Like they have bad interceptions, tons of drop passes. They'll have blowing coverages on defense. If you were to line up guys like on the field face to face, you know what I mean, or lining up head to head, whatever the case may be, I would pick no regard over almost any team in this division. When you see the athletes, the length and the speed and the strength they have on that team, I would pick no regard. But it's the execution that they lack, and that's what they've been lacking for several seasons. And that's why I think they're not going to be able to knock off all three teams, let alone even get two wins out of three. I think they should be able to get one win for sure. You know what? I'll be honest with you because I have an article coming out on Friday. I'm gonna pick Ice Pack. I'm gonna pick them to beat Ice Pack, but I just don't know if they could beat Speed Academy and KGP. KGP, they're better. They're better than what their record is. I think they're 500 right now. KGP, if I'm not mistaken.
Me too.
I've seen them
Yeah.
play a couple of times this season. They're a dangerous team. Yeah, they're 2-2. KGP is a dangerous team. I don't see no regard beating them.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's the division. That's Division B. Again, a lot of big games coming up. This week again, like we said, Ice Pack and No Regard. Okay, so you know what? The loser of that game, Quaysie. Do you think the loser of Ice Pack and No Regard? Do you think their season's done, or no?
If you're looking, well, Ice Pack, just looking at Ice Pack's rest of the schedule, they have County Butte. County San Butte is struggling. FPS for one, Hard Eight. Uh, nah, I think they lose there. I think they lose there. They probably could win there. That means they'll go two. They have two wins, three. No, I don't think so. Because uh Ice Pack. I think Ice Pack should win. I tie break 2 points against if Campute. It really depends. I think it's going to be depending on Campute how they finish their season. Because again, they're 1-3, which is kind of surprising with a team like that. You would assume they're
Yep.
going to do a bit better. Um, I honestly feel like Norgard's going to win one of these games, and I want to say it would have to be against Ice Pack. So to answer your question, can I sorry, just looking I'm looking back at the schedule. Ice Pack, can they get an air win? If they lose versus Norgard, they play Campe San Pute, they could get a win there. So I would like to say if Ice Pack loses versus Norgard and they lose versus Campe San Pute, they're gonna miss out. They're gonna miss out on the playoffs.
All right, all
Because
right.
I
We'll
don't
have to
think
wait
they're
and
gonna
see. Like,
I don't think they're gonna be FPS most wanted, and I don't think they're gonna beat Hardy. And that
all
means
right, that's
if
fair. That's fair.
yeah, so I think it's those two games, and then again, Canada Butte is also they've only played 4 games, but their schedule's coming. Like it's they have Hard Eight next, and they have KHP Dynasty, then Bruins, and they have Ice Pack. So I mean, it's different for them because they have so many more games left. But I honestly feel like if Ice Pack loses against those two teams, I think they're going to be out of playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely think that as well. And again, we'll see what happens, right? Like again, it's next Tuesday. So I'll be there in Broussard on the 14th, right? Ice Pack in no regard. So that's going to be a big game for both sides, right? Again, like I said, I think the loser of that game, their season will probably be done. And like I said, Capi Boutte, right? They have the games. They're Capi Boutte is a better team out of those three, and Capi Boutte has games in hand on all of them, right? So I mean that's going to be something to watch out as well. And like you said, Speed Academy, right? Speed Academy, I've seen them play. I saw them play last Monday. Not the Monday that passed, the Monday before that, pardon me. And Mary Vic against Ice Pack. Ice Pack beat them. And so no, FPS Most Wanted beat them. And then they lost this past Monday at Mary Vic to Ice Pack, right? So right now, Speed Academy, they've lost 3 in a row because they also lost to the Petit Carrot, right? So Speed Academy, their last win was all the way back on May 30th, where they beat Capi San Boutte. May 30th was a long time ago. And
Yeah.
for Speed Academy, right, they have Hard 8, KGP, No Regard, like I said, and then they have Silent Ticklers. I think Speed Academy is going to end up on the outside looking in come playoff time. I don't think they'll be able to win any of those remaining games that they have. Should they win one, maybe against No Regard, possibly. But again, I wouldn't put too much money on that. Actually, I'll pick No Regard in that game. We'll get to, I believe it's next week. The week after it is the end of July. So we'll get to that in the end of July, July 26th. We'll get to that week. But I don't like Speed Academy's chances. And like I said, finally, again, looking at this division part of me, you look at Speed Academy has that last playoff spot, so they're either going to lose it to Ice Pack, Capi Sabote, No Regard. Right now, I'm saying we are July 9th. I'm saying Capi Sabote is going to get that last playoff spot. Right now, they're 1-3. I realize that, but again, games in hand, and they're the better team compared to Ice Pack. No Regard. And even though they lost to Speed Academy, I still think Capi Sabote is a better team than Speed Academy. But
Yeah, I
we'll
completely agree.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Division B.
Yeah. Is Apney still there, or I don't see his face on the screen, so I don't know if he. Okay, there he is. All right, all right. Guess we're gonna get our next guest coming on to the show in just a few seconds. Another long-time FPF player. Had a chance to talk to him this past Sunday when I asked him to come on the pod. Again, he's been a guy I've played against. He's been a guy that's been in the league for a long time. Stand-up guy, one of the best guys in FPF. So he's gonna come on just a few seconds. We're good, Ali? Oh, okay. So I will introduce him right now. He is a player who made his debut. So around the same time I did, all the way back in 2007. Yeah, we've been in this league for a long time. I'm talking about the main man himself, Anthony Siggia.
What's
That's how I
going
pronounce it.
on? Yes, sir.
You good, brother? How you doing?
All's good, man. All's good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Uh, so again, I had a chance, obviously, to talk to you on Sunday, right? So you're playing with FPF's Most Wanted, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, FPF's Most Wanted in Division B. You're also with the Special Agents, pardon me, in Division E2. Um, we just had pardon me, how can I pronounce this? Brady Ohanessian on the show. There's a quarterback from Idaho
Yeah.
UW. So obviously you guys came out on a losing end of that game.
Yep.
So if you ignore that game, obviously it's still a pretty good season for you guys right now, right? I mean, looking at the standings right here in Division B, but we were just talking about it before, actually, right? So we go to the Division B standings right now. You guys are sitting at 4-3 again, coming off that loss, but you guys are in fourth place right now. You guys are in a pretty sweet spot in the rankings. Obviously, you're a team that you guys were in 5v5 competitive the last couple of seasons. You guys electing now to go to Division B. What was the decision? What was the idea behind making that decision to make the jump? You guys used to be 6-on-6. You went to 5-on-5. Now back to 6v6.
I think it was just a question of trying it out, and then it was a question of, roster availability of players, stuff like that. So, we tried the 5v5 and went super good. Obviously, we went to the finals twice, 1-1, right? So, I mean, we like the concept, but I think from a team perspective, we're we're much happier on the 6v6 side.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And again, in 5v5, you guys won a couple championships and that too. So it's not
Yeah.
as if you guys were there, did nothing, and came back. You guys have won a couple of chips there too. So it makes sense now to come on back to the 6v6 format. So this year again, electing to go Division B, right? I mean, I'm looking at your team. Obviously, you're a veteran on the team. There's Barra, your quarterback, right? Who's
Yeah.
on the team as well. I'm just looking at the rest of the guys on your roster. So you have Acting Lazara, right, who's been in the league for a long time. You got Rafa as your rusher. You got the Sparagna brothers. So you got Dante, you got Santino there. I'm just trying to go through the rest of your team right here. You have a couple other guys who played a couple of games here and there. And then we get to Whedon's Alexandre, right? I've wrote about him in a couple of the articles this season, and he's been phenomenal. Obviously, UFM, Caribbean, he's been great for you guys this year. To talk about his impact so far in the lineup for your team.
Oh man, Wadenz is just a phenomenal, phenomenal wide receiver. I've known that guy since he was young. I used to coach him. Same like I coached the rest of the team when they were young. So they kept me around and in the team and be that veteran guy. But these guys have been performing since they were a young age. And Wedens is just, that guy works hard. He keeps his head down. Doesn't talk smack. He just produces on and off the field. What a great character guy on the team. Probably one of our better additions to the core. So yeah, we love having him there. He's been great. The fit's been phenomenal, and obviously you see the numbers. They're quite good.
Okay, nice. Quaysie?
No, I can completely agree. It's a great add-on that you're able to add him on your team, and I think he fits your dynamic good. And since you guys all kind of know each other, you guys are from St. Leo. I feel
Yeah,
like everyone played in St. Leo. Everyone played for
the
St.
whole
Leo
team.
too. So when you kind of have that, I think it's a good addition.
Yes, sir. The chemistry is more important than just the skill talent. So
Yeah.
when we pick, we've got the core guys, and like we trust Barra so much, and like I think he's top three quarterback in the league. He's phenomenal. He's proved it in every single division. He's phenomenal with the ball. He's a great character guy on the team. He owns it when he doesn't play good. He keeps the guys motivated. He keeps me motivated. He's a great play caller, great defense reader, and he's the backbone of our team.
Nice. I was gonna ask you, obviously, be your quarterback. So Alessandro Berrazzoni, obviously, we all know him as Berra.
Yeah,
I remember his rookie season. He played on my team. God, it's like a million years ago. He played on my team. So AJ brought him out. I remember we were
yeah,
looking for a quarterback. We had Sean Abram. He won a championship with us, and he wanted to go play on another team. And he's like, "Yo, I got this guy," and Don Benevento. Yo, we got this guy. We got Berra. He's really good. He played St. Leo. Trust
yeah.
me, this kid could play. So I remember meeting him. He was really quiet. Good kid. I was like, all right, cool.
Amazing.
He came out. It didn't go so well, but I mean, it's not really any fault of his own. It's just he had never really played flag before, and just his experience wasn't that great. But it's fine. But obviously, since then, I've been watching him. I've been covering him in a lot of divisions that I write for, and he's gotten better and better and better pretty much every season. Right? Again, he's led you guys to a couple of championships, definitely
Wow.
5v5, 6v6 as well. What do you think was kind of that turning point for him? I know probably don't want to speak for him, but just in terms of someone who's caught a lot of passes for him from him and someone who's coached him. What do you think's been the key to that turnaround from Berra?
I think honestly, this is true for every quarterback, and I'm not just speaking for him, but like reps, right? I mean, get like games, reps, chemistry. Playing with your core guys for a certain amount of time. Like we've seen it, like okay, like maybe with Barra, but I've seen it playing in other teams too with other quarterbacks, right? A new guy comes in, super talented guy, great receiver, and like we have a hard time getting him the ball, right? It's like, and it's all those incomplete passes or picks because you're forcing it, right? And so like when you have like a base that you have the chemistry, you end up getting really good at reading defenses, right? Because you know where your guys are going to be, you know what you're looking for, you know what you're looking for on first down, you know what kind of defenses are doing, you know, on third and short, and you start to build that confidence, right? And then you know you get reps, you get in, and so I think for me, watching Barra throughout the years, I think that's been the same turning point, and you could see it with the same core of guys. You know, like we produce year in, year out, and we're not. I'm definitely not the best athlete on the field, but you know, Barra trusts me to get me the ball, and you know, he knows I'm a security blanket. So you know, and I know my role on the team. I'm not going to be running post corners. Although I think I could do it. It's just, you know, when I think I'm running the route, I think I'm Tyreek Hill, but you know, and then I watch the film and the film don't lie, right? So I'm like,
That's not me.
but you know, they get me on the right routes, and I know how to find open space, and then you know, Barrett trusts me on those routes, right? And same way he trusts the rest of the core of the guys. Anthony Lazaro has been just a beast on the field. Sparagna brothers. I mean, Raf's like one of the best rushers in the league, if not the best. I mean, he's like we just have a strong core group of guys that know how to play with each other, right? And I think that's the recipe of our success is the chemistry.
Nice, nice. So I know Quaysie had brought it up earlier, right? Obviously, you're a lot of former St. Leo guys. How important is it for you just to kind of keep that St. Leo family together? Obviously, not we're here in FPF.
Listen, man, it's for myself, and I only speak for myself, but that's been my livelihood. And every person I speak to inside football, outside football, in the business world, through my fundraising activities, it's always something that comes up, and something that I'm extremely proud about. 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I moved to Ville Saint Laurent, and essentially my son now who's playing joined the Saint Laurent Spartans. So it's been Chris Rivet is the only guy that's got my back right now, but but essentially it's coming out of St. Leo, keeping the chemistry with those guys, keeping that the memories alive. We always talk about, not just the championships, but like some of the big wins, some of the big moments that we've had, like even just riding together in the car or whatever situation it was. But it was those great memories, and the guys from St. Leo, I mean, from top to bottom, current and previous, they're my family. It's been nothing more to say, but like that's been my livelihood. That's where my characters come from. That's where my grit has come from. That's where my success has come from. It's really based out of there. The whole
Okay,
Cougars
okay, nice,
organization treated me like family. So
nice. Okay. Um, so you mentioned obviously, so again, being a part of that community is something that's super important to you, and it shows obviously, right? When you look at your time in FPF, right? Again, you've been involved. On the website it says since 2007. When I said that,
before that,
so before that, okay, well, even better before that. Okay,
yeah.
so the question I always ask everybody is, how did you get involved in FPF?
Rob Campana is a childhood friend, man. And when he had the idea of creating this league, I was all in for that. And I said, just count me in, because the anything football, I was interested. So whether it was, fantasy football or flag football or tackle football, arena football, I was always in. It's something I love to do. I mean, it's you know, I grew up never playing any other sport. So I never played hockey. I never played soccer, and football was the only thing that I knew. Right. So that for me has been just a blessing in disguise. And when Rob created the league, I said, like, just count us in, and we formed the Cougars team with a bunch of guys, and playing against Kevin Wyeth, Carm and Gino and oh my God, so many great legends, man. You, man, like everybody, like it was such a great thing. Like when that league started and where it moved on to as it got more popular, and especially now that it's integrated into the school system, a lot of schools have it that they didn't have it before. We were lucky at I went to Laurier Mac and we had a flag football team, but I mean, not a lot of schools had it, and now it's integrated everywhere, and it's going to be an Olympic sport. And it's amazing to see where that vision Rob had at the beginning to see where it is now and how much popularity it's gained. And you know, it, there's a lot of sports you could play when you're older. Football is not one of them, but flag football you can. And it's one of those things where thank God, because I didn't see myself going to play soccer on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m. So, but for flag, I'll do a back to back, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just one of those sports, and a lot of guys feel the same way. So, and you're seeing it with the increase in guys coming in, and even other leagues that are trying to start on their own. It's great to have all this saturation inside there. It's like one of those times where you want to see that.
Nice, nice. I hear you 100%. Like 11 o'clock, even. I remember a long time ago, there was a midnight tournaments and that Rob would put on. And
Remember the overnight tournaments? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
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 Yeah, that
Playing
was
football at 3
insane.
in the morning. Good
Exactly.
times.
I was young. I was young when that happened, but I was still like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm just like I can't even imagine myself playing at 3 or 2 a.m. in the morning. But there were so many teams signed up. Like it was a cool concept how it
Yeah.
kind of was, and like games are 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I think that when I think the championship game one was like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and like I remember I was playing with the Brotherhood, and we all slept at Sod's house, Sod Majid, that didn't live too bad. He didn't live that too far, but like you have like 8, 9 guys sleeping at a house. Like, hey guys, we gotta wake up, gotta go play now. So it was that was a fun experience.
No, man. I know it sounds crazy, but if we had an opportunity to do it and we primed ourselves up for a couple of weeks, we would do it, man. I know it. I know it. It would get quite chirpy out there at 3 in the morning, but for sure we would do it.
100%. 100%. As I was talking to a couple of people last week, right? And your name came up, right? And a lot of the things, even over the last couple of seasons, right? A lot of when your name comes up, first thing people say is stand-up guy, good guy,
Appreciate that.
honest guy. Like he's not gonna BS you, and like just a guy who's willing to do anything for the team. One of those guys. Someone said to me, he doesn't care if he gets like one catch for 2 yards and you guys win the game. He'd rather have that than have like 10 catches for like 120 yards and 3 touchdowns and you guys lose the game. Team players is one of the main things that got brought up when I mentioned your name. Just talk about not so much the way people think about you, just the reputation or how you think maybe people should think about you or how you want people to think about you and your game before it's all said and done.
Listen, I've always been that way. Like it's the team first, the name in front of the jersey before the name in the back of the jersey, right? So you play football your whole life, and you never have the name in the back of your jersey. You just have one name you chant. And I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's great to catch and to score touchdowns and get yards and do all that stuff. But at the expense of a game, as of losing a game, the trade-off is much better to win, and have a bunch of happy faces. And so I know when my number's called, I'm gonna deliver. But at the same time, is that if it's not being thrown my way, there's a reason for it, right? It's either I'm covered or whatever the case is, or there's somebody else that's open, right? And I trust my quarterback to make those decisions, and that's just the way it is. With Barra, it's he knows he always wants to spread out the ball, but he will make sure that it's team first, right? So some guys will have no catches like me, or sometimes I'll just have a crazy game, and it just happens that way, right? We got lots of skill players, so utilize them to the max.
Yeah. Uh, So we talked earlier, obviously, about your Division B team, FPS Most Wanted. You're also playing Division E2. With Rob White, shout out to Rob with Special Agents. You guys right now, I scored kept your game a couple weeks ago back at Bastard. Heartbreaking loss. I won't lie. I'll be honest. I was pulling for you guys to
Three
get
in
the
a row.
W. Yeah,
Three
yeah, it's
heartbreakers in a row. But listen,
yeah, man, yeah. Well, yeah. So the game I did, I believe it was. Looking here, yeah, I think it was against, yeah, it's against not Top and Tops, no, against Vengeance, yeah, against Vengeance, yeah. So
yeah,
like, yeah, you said, yeah, three heartbreaking losses in a row there. You guys are sitting at 1-5 right now. One of the impressions I came away from watching your game though, I was like, okay, you have some veterans on the team, right? Like you, Rob White, Chris Olsen, Mike Jazz. Shout out to Mike, by the way, one of my favorite people in the league, Mike Jazz.
yes, sir.
Um, yeah, but you got some young cats on the team too. So my main
Austin.
man Austin Yazbek McDonald, he's on your team. He's obviously a big playmaker.
Yeah.
You got shout out to FPF's own Melissa Millette, who's on your team as well. You got Nick Jose. Like you have some talent on your team, right? Again, the record isn't where you guys want it, but let's talk about what you've seen so far out of this team, and where do you think you guys can get better?
Listen, I think this is a great segue to what we spoke about with Barra, right? And right now it's a question of the chemistry. I think we're all solid. I just think it's our first season together. Obviously we're not practicing, so it just takes some time, and you'll have a season like this when you kind of form a team and you're trying to figure out, okay, where is he going to be, where is he like to break off his routes, getting that chemistry, I've made some mistakes, Rob's made some mistakes, Austin's made some mistakes, we've all made mistakes because sometimes we're used to doing certain things with other teams, and we just haven't adapted to each other yet. I just think we're a super talented group of people, super talented group of players, and our record's not indicative of the current standings, but it is what it is, and we'll just keep fighting, and hopefully we can finish the season strong and maybe earn a playoff spot. So I don't know how realistic that is, but at the end of the day, like I look at the games that we lost. Well, at least three of them for sure. They were games that we led or came from behind and just fell short, and or give up the lead. So, we know how to score, we know how to stop, but just putting it all together for a game and finishing.
I'm just looking at the standings right now. So I was running an article for Division E2 is going to come out. I'm trying to bang it out tonight after the podcast. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, right now looking at the standings, right? So it's for Division E2. So obviously it's the top 8 teams make the playoffs. You guys are sitting in 13th right now. So you have 2 points, but you guys are only 4 points out, right? You're trailing
Right.
the Rosemary Rhino Pills by 4 points. Looking at your schedule, right? You have 4 games left. You got Super Bach, who is also ahead of you by 2 points, right? And then you have the Rosemary Rhino Pills, and you guys finish that off. You have still an inch short. Again, another team who's outside of the playoffs. They're in the 11th seed, and then you finish off with the Stables. So the Stables are a playoff team, but all that to say that 3 out of your next 4 games are against non-playoff teams. So if you guys handle your business, again, you guys have some close losses. If you handle your business, you guys could
We
be
got a
in that
shot.
playoff bubble when it's all said and done.
That's right. And then I think it's really critical. Like our next 3 games are the most critical. We got to win all three. I think the likelihood of losing one of them, I think, pretty much ends our hopes for a spot. So like we definitely got to handle business on Tuesday. I think we're gonna come out there to play, and we're gonna definitely give it our all. That's for sure. I know the guys want to win, and the guys are super hungry. So I think we'll get it done.
But best of luck to you guys in that one. Hopefully you guys get the W.
Thank you.
Again, your next game, like I said, is coming up. Looking at it here. Your next game is going to be next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, actually, I'll be scorekeeping that game. So next Tuesday against Superbach and Brassard. So I'll be watching that game for sure. And I'll be honest, I'll be pulling for you guys. We'll have to wait and see what happens in that one.
Appreciate it, man.
Tell Rob to throw you the ball more. That's what it is. That's what when I watched that Vengeance game, like he kept on going to the right hand side. You were line up on the left, and I'm even in my head. I'm like, I said it like I melded a couple of times. Why is he not throwing to Anthony? He's wide open. Like,
I told
it
him the
is what
same
it is.
thing. It happens, man. It's just it's part of it. So maybe he saw
Yeah.
something that we didn't, and it is what it is. But like we're gonna move things around, and we're gonna try to get the guys the ball, and try to get our playmakers make plays, man.
All right. All right. Uh, so one thing I wanted to talk about, right? So before you talked about family, right?
Yeah,
And Saint Leonard. Obviously, part of that is the legacy of a good friend of yours, and Junior Sparrow, obviously former FPF player, former McGill offensive lineman as well. Obviously passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately, due to cancer. Uh, a big dude, a big friendly guy. I played against him a couple of times. I will tell you, I covered him once. He caught an out route and he didn't see me coming. I was coming to make the tackle. And it's one of those things like I want to get a penalty here, so I'm gonna stand here and let him hit me in the chest. I'm a big dude. And I'm used to when people hit me in the chest, they either go backwards a bit or everything is cool. He hit me in my chest, and I had to take a knee for a second. Right in the sternum, I was like,
sounds
wow, that's
about
how that
right,
feels.
man. Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like that's how that feels. And I was like, wow, Brent, don't ever do that again.
oh,
And Junior was a great guy. Every time we played against him, always say what's up, always a big smile on his face, talk a little trash, always a lot of fun.
yeah.
And it was like every time I saw him, I saw you, or every time I saw you, I saw him, right? So a guy who's definitely missed here and in the FPF community. But again, I imagine you grew up with the guy, right? Being in Saint Laurent, good buddy of yours. Can you just
Yeah.
talk about Junior?
Listen, forget his football legacy. I mean, the guy was an incredible human being. He just made people feel welcome all the time. He competed hard, and his game was talk trash and be best friends after the game with anybody, right? I remember, distinctly, like, even when we played All Stars, in Bantam and Midget, like, we became so close with every single guy from every team. It was Chateauguay or it was, North Shore, Lake Shore, Sun Youth, we Greenfield Park. I mean, like Junior had this presence about him, and he was such a great guy, such a great character guy, team guy. I think a lot of that rubbed off on me, and just the guy was never selfish. When we played together, and I remember asking him to play D line, and I said, like, just open up the holes for me, and I'll make it work. And like that's what he used to do. He used to take two guys at a time, get them out of the way, and then I look like a superstar, and like it just, not hard when you got a guy that's manhandling two others, and you're just one on one with the running back. So, it's he's just a phenomenally missed guy. No words for that. I mean, I think about him every single day. I think about all the things that he said to me when we were young to days prior. He has one of the best families in the world. Great family. Very supportive of that St. Leo community. It would be nothing without them. They were my God, like the most important part of St. Leonard history. Between Frankie and Junior, it's and the parents, they've been icons for that community. So being close to Junior, and when we spoke about flag football, we were getting hated on by our close friends because they thought it was like, you know it's not tackle. What are you guys doing? And we labeled ourselves the weekend warriors. So we played flag all the time, and we loved it. And you know what? A lot of our friends ended up joining the boat, man. So we led the charge on that. I definitely got to say, and it's JR was one of those guys, man. You asked him to play at 2 in the morning, he was playing, but there was no quit in that guy. Just great human being. I miss him terribly. It's my whole life changed when he passed. So you go through a lot of ups and downs. You try to remember the good times, but then it's like watching my son, who's the greatest gift of my life, is sometimes I feel guilty that he can't see him. And in my son's room, I keep a picture of Jr. Inside there, and he's always like, oh, that's the guy who went up in the sky, and he's like Daddy's best friend. So it's like at least he gets to see him on a picture, but I just wish sometimes, man, they got to meet each other and see each other. It was I think about that a lot.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? Listen, I mean, obviously, life. Uh, Fortunately, there's a lot of sad things that happen in life and that, and good things as well. Right? Like you talked about, obviously the birth of your son and that, and I'm sure a piece of junior is with you when you take the field, right, in FPF, and even with your son when he takes the field playing tackle, right? So at least you're able to keep his name and keep his legacy alive through playing ball, both you and your son.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you know, when you lose a guy that young who had that much spirit, it creates shockwaves. And I remember how many people reached out from FPF. Guys that we just played against who reached out were extremely supportive. And just that I remember that first game back. It was because it was COVID, right? So I remember that first game back with Vince Pisano and a few other guys, and we threw the first pass, incomplete, in the middle where JR would normally line up, and the other guys were just clapping. It was quite an emotional day, but yeah, it was great.
All right. And again, that's what sports does, right? Sports kind of helps you heal, right? It brings you together, and to be able to
Definitely.
do that, like I said, first pass of the game. I remember hearing about that first pass of the game you threw over the middle of the junior,
Yeah.
and that's the power of sports, right? Bringing people together and being able to celebrate a great guy like Junior.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like that's you build so many relationships in football, and you guys could attest to that. I mean, whether it's flag or tackle, you build so many great friendships. And I look at just the team that I have now, who Junior was just as involved as I was, coaching these guys, and growing up with these guys, and eventually also playing with Barra and Raf and everybody. And man, like those guys miss him too, man. Like they think about him all the time. It's such a great community. Football's one of those sports where more than any other generates that family lifestyle and friendships that echo for a long time. So yeah, I miss him dearly.
It's speaking just in playing and for a long time. Obviously, I don't want you to give away your age here, but yeah, it looks
40.
like when I see you play, like you're still having a good time, you're still having fun.
I love it, man, and I train just to keep up with these guys, man. Like I see a lot of great guys out there still competing, and I know where I stand. I know what my limitations are, but I want to keep doing it for as long as I can, right? And for me, it's trying to stay in shape, making sure I could keep up, because the last thing I want to do is be an anchor on the team in a negative way, right? So I know the guys want me on the team, but I want to be on the team as long as I'm producing. As long as I, make sure I could run the routes, I could catch the ball, I could, take it up the field if need be, right? So, yeah, am I still having fun? I love it. I have no intentions to stop. But I remember last year I tore my bicep in a game, which it was just a freak accident. Guy ran into me, ball was thrown behind, and guy ran into my arm, snapped back, and a lot of people thought like, hey, like is 39, might not play again, stuff like that. And I kind of took it personal. I was like, hell no. So I was like, I'm coming back. I'm gonna come back even better, and it's just part of the nature of the game, man. Your injuries are gonna happen, and you gotta come back, and you gotta work at it. And it was a grueling experience getting surgery and all that. Luckily, or fortunately, unfortunately, Dan Lazaro went through it, so he kind of gave me some of the, how to think about things, and all that. But so yeah, it was great to recover from that, be back, and get back to full strength. So
So I can tell you, so someone who's past that 40 mark. Actually, so when I saw you on Sunday, actually, I had played I think an hour or two before you, and like I ended up spraining two of my fingers. I'm left-handed, so my pinky I can move it a bit now, and my ring finger I had
oh
sprained them on
man.
Sunday, and I remember I was talking to my girlfriend after. She's like, "You sure you want to keep on playing?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to keep
Yeah,
on playing.
man.
I'm not gonna quit. Keep
For
on playing for
sure.
sure." And she's like, "But
Man,
you can't write." And she's like, "You need your hands to type in the right." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't worry, but I'll use my right hand the whole time." So this whole week I've been icing, and I'm able. I can move it to here. This is pretty much as far as it gets with my fingers. I can't make a fist yet, but I'm playing on Saturday. We'll see how it goes.
that's it,
It's good
man.
time.
Listen, you know what? When I work at the bank, and at the time I was like an account manager, and I had sprained my finger pretty bad. Actually, it was like if you see it, like it's super crooked. But essentially, I went to work the next day, and I was sprained. I didn't have a splint, so I broke a plastic knife, and I put it on each side, and I taped it with
Happy
scotch
to
tape.
see.
And I was like
Hmm.
having meetings with that, and people were just looking like, "The hell's that?" And it's like, "You sure you want to play football?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing tomorrow." I'm like, just gonna tape it up and be ready to go. So it's that.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah,
Good man.
love the grind, man. The grit. It's what makes it fun.
That's it. I love the quote you said before about there's a lot of sports as you get older you can't play, but flag football you definitely can.
Damn right. Yeah, that's why I remember when Rob started the league, I was at the tail end of my football playing life. So, you
Yeah,
know,
same.
you're looking at and you're saying, man, what are the options? And I remember we went into arena football, and like, I mean, it was grueling. Like there was, I think I had more injuries playing arena football than tackle football. Just the field, the limitations, the end zone. It was just everything was crazy. Um, and so, I was like, I think I'm gonna stick to flag after this. It was much less painful, although I've had some like terrible injuries in flag, but it's part of it, right? So injuries happen in soccer. I've seen people tear their Achilles. I've seen people tear their ACLs. It's just part of it, right? And you wish never for anybody to get injured, but it's part of sports, and all sports, individual sports, team sports, whatever it is. So yeah,
Yeah, 100%. That's the risk you take when you play sports, but
yeah.
I take that risk than not playing anything at all, right?
I well said, man. Well said. That's my motto.
All right, man. So we're gonna get you out of here, man. Just want to say, hey, thank you for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. For you coming on the pod and just talking some ball, talking some stories, obviously talking about Junior
Yeah,
and just again your history and Saint Laurent and that. And so thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for guys having me.
Thanks.
So and
Thank
best of
you.
luck the rest of the way with both your teams, man. Hopefully you get into the dance and E2. Obviously in And in Division B, you guys will be in the playoffs for sure. I have an article that's going to be coming out tomorrow. And
Appreciate
so
that, man.
I'll be mentioning this interview here that you have with us on the pod. So again, thanks for coming on. Uh, Anthony Siggia, stand-up guy, football lifer, and you're gonna have to drag him off the field when it's all said and done.
Damn straight. Thank you, boys.
All
Take
right,
care,
brother.
man. Have
Appreciate
a
it,
great
man.
night. Take care.
You
You
too.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So once again, that's Anthony Siggia from Special Agents in Division E2 and FPF's Most Wanted in Division B. Uh, so let's hop back into it quick, man. I mean, I guess we have another 20 minutes or so, half an hour left in the show.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to leave because I have a game. So I'm gonna. I think we
okay.
should go to Division E because we're already right here, right? So Division, the same division Anthony was just in. Kind
Yeah,
of.
E2. E2?
Yeah,
Or
to
yeah.
kind of.
Okay, hop in there, man. Hop in there. Okay, now I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. If you take it, and I'll be back like in 2 seconds.
Okay,
All right.
give me a second. You put me on the spot now.
Well, you wanted E2.
I'm opening it up now. It's taking forever to open. Um, the standings gonna open up. Nope, they're not gonna open up for me. Great. I can't see it. Okay. Anyways, going to Division E, we were kind of talking about Anthony. Just to kind of just talk about Division E and saying how it's new teams like that. It's one thing that a lot of teams have to kind of realize that like it's not going to be perfect all at once. Right? Even though if you have a lot of vets on your team, you get a lot of add-ons. Again, like they have players like Robert Wright, they have Anthony and stuff like that. Like they're 1-5. A lot of their games did come down to I feel like a bad drive, a bad snap, a bad interception, but like it's a progress, right? And then you have teams like Top and Tops, you have teams like Vengeance, you have all these teams that are still in this division, but they struggled as well. They're having better seasons this year, but when they first started out of it, I remember seeing Vengeance at 2-8, and they kind of had to change a quarterback situation, and teams like Top and Tops as well too. Like a lot of these teams, they before they like you do have some powerhouse teams where they kind of came in and they shouldn't have been in this division in the first place, but you have all these teams that they're progressively getting better and better every single season. So like just kind of go out there when you're a team that's kind of struggling and you're not exactly sure if you want to continue because you guys went 1-9 and 2-8, like it happens to most teams, and some teams do not continue, but some teams do continue and they get better and better and they realize, like we had a bad season here, we had 2 bad seasons, 3 bad seasons, and now you're looking at a team like Avengers team like last season. I think they finished 6-4 from going 2-8, so they make a big difference. So just kind of go and saying like you're not it's not going to be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty right away. You're gonna have to kind of take your hits here and there, and then you're gonna start realizing when you get better at the sport and you kind of get better chemistry with all of the guys. That's when you start having more successful seasons. Yeah. And Brent, I was just kind of talking about how difficult it is when you first start getting into a season with a bunch of new guys and you're kind of trying to make things work. And it does happen a lot of times where you don't have the best of seasons. You go 1-9, 2-8, and then you're kind of thinking like, oh, maybe this is not for us. But you kind of have to realize you just kind of keep push through it. And then you have like after the third, fourth season, usually you get a bit better and then you start being one of those more dominant teams, and that's when you start making a better the jumps, like you start division E and then you go division F and then you go division C, maybe, sorry, division E, then C, and then so on. It's not right away where teams are just you're coming into division, you're dominating. Like at the end of the day, FPF is by far most it's the best talent of football you can ask for. And you can look at it like, it's Division E, must be easy, but you still play versus very good teams as well too, and great players.
No, 100%. I remember last year we did the scouting combine last year for FPF. Like all the new players came out and we're going through drills and all that. And a lot of guys we were talking about the divisions, right? Me and Ben were talking to some of the guys and girls, right? Okay, we're like we're gonna obviously create a team for the guys that don't have a home, and be like, all right, you're gonna go in the lowest division, and the faces that some of those guys made, like lowest division. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, it's very rare that team that comes in right away and just wins a bunch of games and either finishes above 500 or makes the playoffs, right? It's very rare that happens. Usually teams have to take their licks. I know I did it when I first joined FPF. It took me 2 years to get my first victory. Now I have a couple of championships, and this year my team's looking pretty good so far. And I've made the playoffs pretty much almost every year that I played over the last decade or so. But I started off, I was 0-8-2 my first year, and I think 0-10 my second year, or the other way around. It takes a while, right? And a lot of these top players that you talk about, right? A lot of them start off, like even Brady started off in like Division C. A lot of these guys start off D and C, in some cases E and now F, right? A lot of these top players, you fast forward, right, to let's say 2 years from now, 2028. Obviously, the Olympics and all that, that's huge. But 2028 FPF summer season, these teams right now in Division F, a lot of these guys are going to be playing in like Division D1 or Division C or maybe even Division B, right? You just got to get your reps. Brady was
Yes.
talking about reps before, and even so was Anthony. You got to get your reps, and that's how you become a better team, not just better quarterbacks, how you become a better team overall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to leave, Brent. So I'll let you
No
finish
worries, no
the
worries, I got you. I
stories.
got you.
But have a nice day.
Good luck in your game, sir. All right, so let's hop into it quick in the last like 15, 20 minutes we have here. So a couple games that I score kept this past week. I'm gonna start at the top. I want to get to the game of the week. Could be game of the year that I saw. This is Division A. It was a matchup between OneStop and they took on, it was in Papillon, pardon me. Yeah, OneStop and they took on Fins Up. Now, this game was wild. Again, Fins Up, obviously, Will Power's squad. Shout out to Will Power. He has a lot of veterans on the team. Michael Kazaka, Carl Aki, Justin White, who Brady talked about before, is one of the big weapons on this team. Yeah, Simone Deschamps, a lot of weapons, right? OneStop, right? Michael Caparelli, who's been a guest on the show before at quarterback, and then there's a bunch of McGill guys: Thomas Angelin, Ryan McNally, there's Philip Trudell, Paul Palette. Did you DB actually play receiver? He looked pretty good at receiver. They also have Nicholas Nez. I don't know. He's a good guy, by the way. I want to get him on the pod. I played against him this past Sunday with his team. Not in run. I should know the team. We just played them. My apologies. I'll get to that in a second. But anyways, we played them Sunday, but he was playing with OneStop, and a really good player who kind of under the radar a bit because he started off in lower divisions. But Nicholas Nez, great player. He had a pretty good showing in the game against my team, and this game here with OneStop. Anyways, this game went back and forth. A ton of big plays. Halftime, the score was 18-13 in favor of OneStop. Second half, though, OneStop outscored their opponents 29-14. Now, again, like I said, big, fantastic plays on both ends. I want to take you though to the end of the game. Now, this is a crazy setup. So I'm going to bring you to it. So Ryan McNally, so a buddy of mine, formerly now of McGill, his eligibility is up. So now he's like pretty much full time in FPF. If you haven't seen him play, you should. He's a fantastic player, a good leader too, both sides of the ball. Former safety, halfback in university. Get him on your team. Anyways, so Ryan McNally scores a touchdown, a 5-yard TD from Mike Caparelli, right? So it's deep in the second half. So what happens now is so that the score now is going to be, so looking at it right here, that makes the score 32. Hold on, let me just do it right here. I'll do the quick math. My apologies. -6. So it's 36, yeah, 36-32 for OneStop, right? So to get that late score by McNally. So what happens here is gonna be crazy. So Finso gets the ball back. So incomplete pass, pass to Michael Kazaka. So they're marching up the field. A first down gets called. So Will Powers is third and long now. Pass to the sideline, way over the receiver's head. Not as to Justin White, I believe. Not catchable at all. Justin White, who's a good receiver, Brady talked about him before, doesn't signal for pass interference or anything. The referee on that side said that McNally made contact with the receiver, which I didn't see it, but again, he's on that side, so he would know better than I do. So they call the first down. McNally's like right away, he's like, he wasn't going to catch that ball anyways. It was uncatchable. And I'm being honest, the ball was at least 10 yards over the receiver's head, but the call stood. So first down now, so they get out of a third and long. Fins up has the ball. They're marching on the field, a couple of incomplete passes. They get the ball, though, down to the 5-yard line. Now, here's where it gets a little crazy, okay? It's first and goal from inside the 5-yard line, okay? So this is what happens. Incomplete pass by Will Power to Carl Aki. Incomplete pass to Justin White. A penalty though gets called on Nicholas Nez, so that puts the ball now about half the distance to the goal. So let's say the ball is at the 3 yard line. Final play, well, second to last play of the game. Will Power gets flushed to his right. So the rusher can't get the sack, but he flushes Power to his right. What you want to do as a rusher, you want to try to force the quarterback to go to one side. He throws the ball to the middle of the field to his center. So center is a big man on the team. So it's a Maximilian Kadori, I believe is his last name. Yeah, Maximilian Sidori, pardon me, not Kadori. Sidori. Sidori gets the ball. I wish I had my football here. Do I have a football here? No, I don't. Goodness. Sidori gets the ball. He bobbles it into the air. So actually, sorry, the ball was on the ground. He gets his hands down. He puts the ball kind of up to himself. He has it, but it bobbles it into the air. Now it's going off the air, going up off his hands, pardon me, in the air. He gets it down to his chest, but it kind of bounces off his chest. So what happens now? McNally comes over and rips the ball away and runs it back for a touchdown. Now the players from FinSub kind of most of them just stopped. McNally again had to run from his goal line essentially all the way down to the other goal line, right? So again, it's like a 40-yard run, and that's why that case is actually, but no, it's a 40-yard run, right? Willpower and his team are just assuming that it's a touchdown. So I see this play, the referee. So then the head official letting Ryan run, letting him run. At that point, the offense needs to start turning into defense and try to make that tackle, but they don't. Again, so McNally runs it for the touchdown, game-winning touchdown. The game is over. They did an extra point play, and then since I've got the ball back, they tried to Hail Mary pass for Simon Deschamps into the end zone. It got batted away by Paul Pallette, so my bad, that ended the game. But again, a crazy sequence where there was a penalty that probably shouldn't have been called for pass interference, and then a goal line bubble. Now, I will tell you, Story, the center, he was saying he did, but from my vantage point, and I was about 10 yards away on the same sideline where the pass was thrown to, he didn't have control of the ball. Heads up play by McNally, who saw the bobble. Again, you're not allowed to rip the ball out of a player's hands once they start the rotation. Once they have possession of the ball, I think they should actually change that rule, but that's just my opinion. You can't rip the ball out of the receiver's hands, but you can if you're bobbling the ball. That's what Sidori, the center, was doing. He was bobbling the ball. He had it up off his chest, went up in the air. McNally came in there, grabbed it, ripped it away, ran for the TD. End of the game, final score. It was 42-32 in favor of OneStop. Again, I'm just talking about the end of the game. Again, there was fantastic catches by players on both sides. It was just a really, really good game to call. I usually don't work Papineau on Monday, but I'm glad I came for that shift. There was a guy, Nicholas Henry. I haven't seen him play before. He was a sub onto the team. He actually had a chance to score a go-ahead touchdown late for his team. He got the ball, and the ball was thrown to his side. So he kind of leaned on one leg and made an acrobatic grab, right? And then he made contact with Carl Aki, the defender who was standing at the goal line. But then what Henry tried to do, Henry jumped over him to get the touchdown off of like one leg. It was fantastic. A super athletic play, but again, it got called for jumping, unfortunately. But again, a great game between two teams. I was really glad I got to see that game. So that'll do it for Division A. Another game I got for score keep here was Plenty of Fish against Shark Attack. So that game, I went into that game thinking, okay, I've seen Plenty of Fish play before. I expected him to come out with the win. I like what I saw though. So again, Plenty of Fish this year is playing in co-ed 2. Now I had a chance to talk to my main man, Julian McLaren Thompson, who's one of the leaders, one of the veterans on this team. He said it himself, yeah, we're really a division co-ed 1 team, but I know last year in co-ed 1, it didn't go good for them. They just really struggled last year in co-ed 1. So we said that's why we said, okay, we changed a couple of pieces. We're going to drop down to co-ed 2. And right now that bet is paying off, right? Because they're 6-0. So just going quick to this game against Plenty of Fish against Shark Attack. So obviously Maule, one of the top quarterbacks in the league, she was doing her thing. She was throwing dimes all over the field. I know there's a couple of throws she wanted to have back, but she made them when they counted most. Annabelle Chevier, Alessandro Daniel, who wants to come on the pod, so shout out to him, and Seth Galena. They both scored. All three of them, scored 2 touchdowns each. I came away really impressed. Although I will say, I came away impressed with Shark Attack. Now, Eloy, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Eloy. It's either Eloy or Eloy Tremblay. I hadn't really seen him play quarterback. He went 17 to 13, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. His problem was just relying too much on the deep ball. Him and so a guy I mentioned earlier, right? Austin Yazbek McDonald, who plays with Anthony on special agents, he was also the quarterbacking in this game. He went 7 of 11 for 113 yards, 2 TDs. I think they probably should have started Austin at quarterback. Could have been maybe a different game. 39-25 victory for Plenty of Fish over Shark Attack. But what I like though, so the females from both sides, again, Plenty of Fish, they're led by a female quarterback, which is great. And the female receivers, Maurice Paquette, there's Annie-Pierre Brube, Annabelle Chevier. Like, these ladies made some plays. These ladies made a lot of plays, and Maggie Gervais as well, right? They made plays on both sides of the ball. Shout out to Julian, 4 sacks in that game. Switching sides, though, even the ladies for a Shark Attack, right? They made some plays. So Melissa Millet, shout out to her. She didn't have the strongest game. There's a couple passes that went through her hands. I think the timing of her and Tremblay is a little bit off. Leanne Vincent, though, I came away. I was impressed with her. She made her presence felt on the field. She provided some pretty good coverage. There was Heidi Garneau as well, who had actually led them in receiving 4 catches to 70 yards. Charlie Philbert, who also want to try and get on the pod. She says she wants to come on. I think she's maybe one of the smallest players in the league, but she's tough. Like, this girl is tough. She's physical. She's not afraid. She'll rush. She'll play receiver, play coverage, whatever it is. So shout out to them. I came away being really impressed with a lot of the females on the field and the guys. The guys did their thing as well. And Alessandro Daniel, just super athletic. I know he plays a lot. He plays with his dad, one of the lower divisions. I was like, okay, this is a higher division, a better test of strength. And he came out and he made some acrobatic catches. Again, he had 6 catches, 68 yards, and 2 TDs. He made his presence felt over the field. He had an INT and a pass deflection as well. So shout out to him. I had a chance. I didn't scorekeep this game, but I had a chance to watch Junior XL Special Ed against Snowden Deli Degens. So this is Division D1. I had talked about this last week on the podcast, right? It was one of the games I was really looking forward to seeing. So I played in Laval myself on Sunday. My game was done at 7. I ended up watching a ton of different games that were going on. I had a chance though to catch this one. I was trying to get the stats here. Yeah, because that game was at 8 o'clock. So I did end up staying for that game as well. This is another. So this game, it started off a little weird. I watched like the first couple. So I was watching 2 games at once, and this is one of them. I will not lie. So it starts off. So Snowden Deli Degens, they get the first touchdown on the game. Lewis Epstein scores a TD. And then Snowden Deli Degens get the ball back, right? So they get a 9-yard run. Pardon me. They got a 35-yard run, as I'm trying to say. Pardon me. It's been a long day for a touchdown, right? So it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right. Halftime, it's an 18-13 lead for Snowden Deli Degens. I'm like, all right. So I went to watch the other game that I was watching on field number, field next to me. I believe that's field number 1 that was next to me. These guys were on field number 2. So going back and forth. So I come back in the second half, right? I'm like, okay, so what's happening here? So basically, I see a late touchdown. So Kyle Fulkerson, right, hasn't played quarterback that much recently. I know he had an injury, I believe, last year. Playing more receiver now on some of the teams he plays on. But special ed, they were missing a bunch of guys. So Keon Cyrus showed up to him. He told me that Kyle's going to throw for us, and we're missing some other guys. So we got some subs. So he's here about half our team's gone, but we have Kyle, so we're confident that we'll get the W. So he connected with Dante Sperano, who I talked about earlier, right? The place of Anthony and FPF's Most Wanted. They connected for a 36-yard touchdown, right? So to take a late lead. But then Snowden Deli Degens got it back. They pretty much 2 plays later. Alan Malinoff, he let go of a bomb, right? Malinoff ended up connecting for a touchdown with his receiver. So Matthew Fixman is a name I've seen a lot the last few seasons. Again, one of Malinoff's top receivers. They ended up connecting for a 40-yard touchdown on the second to last play of the game. So you know what? Junior XL Special Ed says, hold my beer, we'll do one better. And then we see right here, they went for the onside, actually. So I'm getting it wrong here. They went for the onside. Yeah, sorry. My apologies. I was getting a little ahead of myself right here. That late touchdown made it a bigger score. What happens? So Fixman gets the touchdown to get them a little closer. And realizing they're going to lose the realizing they're going to lose the game, they decided to go for the onside. And then Malinoff hits Lewis Epstein for another 40-yard touchdown. So the final score ends up being 39-36 in favor of Junior XL Special Ed. So my apologies. I was reading the stats really quickly here. And again, I've watched a lot of games between Sunday and today. So one of the questions I asked last week, though, on the pod, right, was who's the better team in Division D1? Is it Snowden Deli Degens or Junior XL Special Ed? So now Junior XL Special Ed could say Snowden Deli Degens, hold my beer, because now Junior XL Special Ed with that victory, they moved to 5-0. Snowden Deli Degens dropped now to 5-1 again, their first loss of the year. 39-36 in favor of Junior XL Special Ed, who is now the top team in Division One. Looking at the remaining schedule here, right? Snowden Deli Degens have 6 games left. Junior XL Special Ed has 5 games left. So obviously 1 game in hand. You do that quick math right there in favor of Junior XL Special Ed. So we're gonna have to see who's gonna end up finishing on top of the division. And again, we can't count out pacemakers, right? Pacemakers, Jason Rossi's squad, 4-2-1. 9 points, right? They're 1 point behind both teams. You can't count them out either, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Just want to take a look quickly at the upcoming schedule here in Division D1. This is going to be yes, the Special Ed takes on Bend Don't Break. The Snowden Deli Degens take on the Studs, right? This coming Monday. So yeah, Snowden Deli Degens and Studs Monday at Papineau, and Friday night in Laval. So that's tomorrow. Special Ed against Bend Don't Break. We also have tonight going on in Laval with all this rain. Double dip against No Flag Zone. Saturday at Concordia, so I might be scorekeeping that game. I'm not sure. Black Vipers against No Pun Intended, and the action ends on Tuesday in Brissard with No Pun Intended, taking on the Nighthawks. So again, exciting game between the two top teams, and a lot of action coming up this week in this division. I had a chance to do Division E1. I scored kept last game of the night underdogs against Sans Pression. I hadn't really seen the underdogs before. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard the names again in FPF. There's a ton of teams. I'm not gonna be able to see everybody, unfortunately. But I did see underdogs, and I came away saying to myself, you know what? I'm kind of impressed. This team has some speed. I think it's a bunch of former tackle guys. They got speed. They got athleticism, and there's a lot of chemistry with this squad. So again, they hammered Sans Pression 38-12 Monday night in Papineau. So Quentin Leduc, so his name I've seen before. I hadn't actually seen him play. He's a pretty decent quarterback. He can scramble. He has some legs. He has a pretty decent arm. So they got Hubert Noel, who I think is a cheat code in a low division like this. He should be in higher divisions only. He had a pretty good game, 5 catches, 55 yards. Mathis Cousineau, who was actually helping me out with the roster, shout out to him. He had 2 CDs. Arnaud St-Jean had 2 CDs. The big man, Terry Schneider, had a touchdown as well. 2 INTs for Leduc as a defender, and Noel had an INT as well. So Sans Pression, I talked about them last summer. I seen them. I think their first season was last summer. If you line them up and just didn't, kind of like no regard, you line them up and just go off of looks. I mean, this is a team. They have some former tackle players. They're fast. They got some size. They have them. Yeah, pardon me. Blah 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 blah. They have the muscle advantage as well. My apologies. But they need a quarterback. Isaac Chavanez is a good dude. He's a good dude. Always respectful and kind. Always says what's up when I see him. 5 for 10 for 16 yards and 2 INTs. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. They did, though. They have my main man, Marvin Renault. He's been in the league just as long as I have. Usually a receiver. He plays for like Camping Saint-Boutin, Emerge, and all those teams, along with Marc-Andre Reeves. He came in at quarterback around, I want to say, halftime or just a little bit after halftime. He went 10 and 15, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 INT. He was throwing the ball with some accuracy. Right, he's super athletic. He has some size, Marvin. Good guy too, super athletic. I honestly think, and Isaac ended up playing some receiver, and he had a couple of grabs and a touchdown as a receiver. I think going forward, if Marvin wants to, he should be the quarterback of the squad because they have a lot of speed and athleticism. They just, again, they need a QB. They only scored 12 points in that game. I mean, that's nothing to write home about, but right now their record is 1-3. So guys, there's a lot of football left. There is a ton of football left. So put Marvin, or if you want to get someone else, put someone else at quarterback and just figure it out because having Isaac Chavanez, pardon me, as your quarterback, it's just not going to cut it. And I remember seeing this team last summer, and I said the same thing to myself, like, this team, they made a lot of mistakes last year, but quarterback was one of them. And not trying to throw any shade, because again, quarterback is not an easy position to play, especially in FPF. And especially if you don't have that much reps doing it, it's not easy. But again, this team, I think if they could roll with Marvin or maybe even someone better as quarterback that'll help them out a lot. Because again, like I said, this team is 1-3 right now. They are sitting in the 10th spot. They are 4 points behind practice squad 3, who's sitting in the last playoff spot with a 3-4 record right now. So again, hopefully Sam Prechon could get their act together. For the underdogs, the win moves them to 5-2. So they're sitting right now. They're in fourth, but they're tied with South Shore Crashouts in terms of points with 10 each. So again, underdogs, a really big win for them, 5-2 on the regular season. They actually knocked off practice squad the week before. They knocked off Midtown. They knocked off, so 3 games in a row, 3 wins in a row right now, pardon me, for the underdogs as they get prepared to take on Ayers this Saturday at Loyola. Before we get out of here, I just want to get to the women's quickly. I want to give the ladies some love here. I had a chance to watch the game between, so I was playing at the same time pretty much when Blue Power took on Chaos. But again, a big win there by Blue Power. But I couldn't watch much of the games. Again, I'm playing at the same time, so it's kind of hard to do both. I know I think their game finished a couple minutes before mine, so again, trying to watch what I could, but it is what it is. Again, though, a big win by Blue Power. I'm just trying to get the game up on my screen here. My apologies. The win was 44-26 in favor of Blue Power over Chaos again this past Sunday. Laval, Manuel Brassard, 12 of 18, 148 yards. She had 5 touchdown passes. All her receivers caught a touchdown. Gabrielle Greco caught 2. Julia Paradis Roberts, Marina Scalzo Chrétien had a touchdown. Paradis Roberts had a touchdown. Chloe Bertun had a touchdown. And I will say defensively, Player of the week. So there should be no debate. This is at you, Emma. There should be no debate right now. Marina Scalzo Chrétien, player of the week. Again, she had 3 catches, 44 yards, and 1 touchdown on offense. On defense, 3 INTs, 2 of them she ran back to the house. That's your player of the week right there. Say no more. Not a great showing. And Emma, who's responsible kind of for players of the week, she played against her, right? So she should know better than anybody else. Emma did have a good game, though. 6 catches, 116 yards. Shout out to Gigi. She had 3 TDs in the game. Shout out to the homegirl as well. Heidi O'Connor Lynch had a touchdown, but again, it wasn't enough as the offense was stuck in mud for the most part. His turnovers really kind of doomed Chaos in that game. So hopefully they'll have a better outing in their next contest as they take on Purple Heat in week 10. Pardon me, actually, they have Sparks this Saturday at Loyola. So hopefully for Chaos, they'll be able to rebound. Other game I had a chance to watch a little bit was the Birds. So the Birds were taking on, this is after my game, so the Birds were taking on Purple Heat. We talked about the Birds a little bit last week on the pod, and I believe the week before as well, right? Birds with a 26-12 victory over Purple Heat. Clarence Michaud, 220. She went 26 of 31, so it's pretty impressive. 221 yards, 4 TDs in that contest. She threw 2 touchdowns to Amy Duell and Dorian Odige, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. 8 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown. They also got a touchdown for Effie Patron and Cindy Couette. She had 5 catches for 36 yards, so their team really showed up both sides of the ball. Lorianne Bouchard had an INT in that game. Switching sides for Purple Heat, Clara Baudouin, 9 of 25, 110, and 2 TDs. She threw a TD to Sarah Maud Mathieu and then Tamara Belanger. Defensively, Clara Baudouin had an INT for their team in that game, but again, they fell by a score of 26-12. So now the question is, when we look now at Women's A, right? We talked about Knicks, right? Knicks is the best team. We can't say otherwise, right? Again, Knicks is the only undefeated team in this division, but they've only played 4 games, right? They're 4-0. So now the Birds right now in first with a 5-2 record. So Knicks is the best team, but is it 100% now? Are the Birds, without a shadow of a doubt, are they the number 2 team in this division? Right now it looks like yes, but again, the Birds, looking at their schedule, they may not finish the second, right? Because the Birds have 7 games played already. They finish off with Knicks, so that's going to be a huge game on July 19th. Then they have Blue Pals, so that should be a good game, and then they finish with the Sparks, right? So again, three competitive matchups coming up for the ladies that consist of the Birds. But I know Jacques Voigt and Pat Jerome, they will have those ladies ready and ready to play, right? So I have to wait and see what happens. Purple Heat, again, they're coming off that loss, right? Again, like I said, 26-12. So Purple Heat from here, their next matchup is against Knicks this Saturday at Loyola. So I will be there for that game. And then they take on Chaos and they finish with the Spark. So again, some tough games for Purple Heat as well to finish off the regular season. Um, so just trying to look here. I want to touch on some of the other divisions here for women's. So looking at women's B here. So I want to look at the upcoming schedule. Yeah, sorry, pardon me. So women's B. So this Saturday we have 3 games. Well, Saturday one, and then we have actually Monday and Tuesday. So Saturday Wolfpack against the Merge. Monday at Mary Vic. It's the Originals against La Sorority. And then Tuesday, so I'll be scorekeeping this game in Brassard to be the Cavaliers against Hebrew. So it's going to be interesting, right? Because last week last week really it was a bye in Women's B. So the last game was Hebrew against the Originals at Mary Vic. I talked about that last week, 40-12 win by Hebrew over the Originals. So last week was a bye for everybody and Women's B. So again, 3 big games coming up this week. Wolfpack, the Merge, Originals, La Sorority, and Cavaliers, Hebrew. So those are the 3 matchups coming up this week for Women's B. Standings, obviously, Hebrew in first, Original second, Supernova third, the Merge fourth, Wolfpack fifth, Cavaliers sixth, and Sorority in 7th place. And go quickly to Women's C here. Just want to give them their shout outs. So Women's C, we have there was one game that took place actually tonight. My apologies. So it was The Rock with a big 22-6 victory over A-Town Black. So that was tonight in Laval. That was a 7 o'clock game. We're now almost 9 o'clock. So and it's already uploaded. So this is pretty cool actually. Rafael Gagno went 20 of 37, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. All three of those TDs went to Mary Christine Gauthier. So shout out to those two on connecting for the win. The defense was able to get an INT from LMA Dupuis, and they got a couple of sacks. They got one by Mary Christine Gauthier, so maybe she get Player of the Week. I think she should, or one of those high spotlighted players. And then Eloise Cornet, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. She got 2 sacks in that game as well. On the other side, Catherine Bilodeau, 8 of 30 for 102 yards, 1 touchdown, which was stolen to Natasha Maureen Nupeyu. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. So yeah, a bit of a struggle there, obviously, for A-Town Black, only putting up 6 as they lost 22-6 at the hands of The Rock. One shout out to give. Mentioned Dan Lazare before. I do want to give a shout out to him and Jalen Greaves. They threw a perfect game. So we talked about the Braves, right? Brady Ohanessian had thrown for the Braves in Division A, right? Because again, a lot of the Braves were not in Montreal. They were out of the country, basically, some of them, and some of them others at tournaments, right? So we had a matchup with the Braves. So again, we talked about the Braves losing to the Vultures, but the Braves actually had a second matchup. The Braves took on. Okay, maybe I read that wrong. The Braves play. So yeah, it's 5v5. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking that to myself, and I was like, wait a second. When I checked earlier, I thought it was. Thank you, Ali. I appreciate that. When I checked earlier, I thought it was Division A, but okay, yeah. So yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, it's the 5v5. Thank you, good sir. So yeah, it's the infantry. Yeah, you're right. Infantry against the Braves. That was just past Sunday, also in Laval. So that Braves was made up of a team of guys who don't play on the team. So Marc-Andre Reeves was quarterback. They had Xavier Couture was a sub. Alex Zablisky was a sub. Gab Couture, Isaac Paquette, Guillaume Ballon, only kind of real Braves person there. So again, they lost 46-30. But going to the other side for the infantry, right? Dan Lazera. Dan went 14 of 14, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game. So he threw 3 touchdowns. And then we had Jalen Greaves. So we all know Jalen, fantastic receiver. Ended up playing some quarterback. He went 7 of 7, 54 yards, and also 3 touchdowns in that contest. So 2 touchdowns were caught by Carl Aki, 1 by Bakari Barrett. Shout out to Caden Dewey Hall. So Caden Dewey, if you're not sure who he is, if you know, I'm sure if some of you at home know Jamil Springer, him and his girl Crystal, they run flight school. That's for kid. I remember my first year when FPF Junior first started. I was part of Rob having doing articles for FPF Junior, and I remember seeing Caden and this kid can ball back then. He's been a part of Flight, one of the main parts of Flight School is Caden. So obviously now he's a little bit older. He doesn't need to play in FPF junior anymore. He came out and he had a game, 7 catches on 7 targets, 102 yards, and 3 TDs. Couldn't meet a nicer kid. This kid is an awesome kid, super well mannered, super polite. I've been in tournaments against him when he was in elementary school. And I found my school played against him, and he's phenomenal. Again, great kid, raised properly. Again, 7 catches, 102 yards, 3 touchdowns. Charles Olivier Vachon had an INT in that game. So again, 46-30 win for the Braves. But the big thing is both Dallin Sarah and Jalen Greaves both throwing perfect games essentially in that win. So before we get out of here, there's a couple of things I wanted to get to. So I talked about Clara Baudouin before. So I know it was announced earlier this week that she signed with the World Flag Series, so the WFS. So congrats to Clara Baudouin who signed there. Obviously, she's going to be one of a number of players who'll be playing in that female league. So congrats to her. Well deserved. Also was announced this the other day, I believe yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, the I have it here, the Olympics Q Series for 2028. So the Olympic Q Series, I have it right here. They're going to be doing a tour to China, Japan, the States, and Canada. So when they come to Canada, they'll be coming to Montreal. So it's going to be 2028. This is scheduled to take place I have it right here. It's scheduled to take place, pardon me, in June of 2028, from June 1st to June 28th. Again, it's the Olympic Q Series. So what it is basically, there's going to be 4 sports plays. It's going to be beach volleyball, BMX freestyle, which I always thought as a kid was super dope, even kind of now, skateboarding, like park skateboarding, and then, of course, flag football, which is why I'm bringing it up. So they'll be coming here from June 1st to June 4th. Is the third stop in their tour. Again, like I said, they're going to China, they're going to Japan, the States, and here. So it's going to be kind of a last chance to qualify in those various sports for the 2028 games, right? Because again, of course, the 2028 games for the Olympics, right? They take place from Friday, July 14th to Sunday, July 30th, of course, of 2028. So with this tournament taking place in Montreal, literally just a couple weeks before, it's going to be a last chance for teams to qualify for the playoffs, and or even if they not for the playoffs, pardon me, for the Olympics for the 2028 games, and a great chance even for those teams, I guess, to have qualified to really kind of dust themselves off and just make sure they're all ready and firing on all cylinders, right? So it'd be a good opportunity for them. So just wanted to give a shout out to that. So we have the players of the week, right? The spotlighted players. Week 6, yeah, exactly. Yeah, week 6. I'm just trying to check to get the list here. And okay, so I checked that in a second. So so I'll announce this quickly. I put a poll up last week just asking a couple of random questions. One of them was who will be quarterback of the year in Division E2. So Matthew Chadwick got the most number of votes. And interestingly enough, the day after I put that post, I ran into him at the Jazz Fest last Saturday. And I've known him for a long time. The first thing he said is like, "Hey man, thank you for putting that post. I'm in first place in that poll." I'm like, "All right, hey, you are first place in that poll. So congrats to him." A lot of the names I had there. Antoine Meunier for Trailer Park Boys, he got a lot of votes as well. But again, Matt Chadwick getting the Emile Decoteau as well got a lot of votes. But again, Matt Chadwick getting the top votes for that poll. Thank you for everyone that participated in it. I know there's some other polls that I had up right now. I can't find the results, so I'll get to that next time. I'll be putting more polls up though this week, so make sure to turn into the polls. And there's some questions, right? We want to get more feedback from you guys. So again, this is why we do that. So hopefully you guys have a chance to contribute to the polls. So I'm just trying to find the list here that you're talking about. So I'm on the Instagram page here. Player spotlight. Here we go. Week 6. Thank you. Okay, so we got Marc-Andre Lapointe from Beer Belly Brigade in Division C. 12 catches, 87 yards, 4 TDs. On defense, he had a pick. So veteran. Nicolas Vigier from Baby Sharks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say, can you see this picture? Hold on. I don't know if you okay, nah, it's not gonna work. Okay, so you have it on the screen. I just saw the picture really quickly. I thought that was Manu. So Manu Alard has a look like in Division F here with the Baby Shark. So that's Nicolas Vigier. He had one TD as a receiver, but he had four INTs, two passive flashes, and another TD on defense. So shout out to him, those four INTs. That's huge. Oriola Poirier, Connie receiver, 9 catches, 131 yards, four TDs for co-ed 2 of Easy Fun. So shout out to him. Fantastic receiver. Annabelle Broussard from Women's C from the Valkyries. So she had 4 sacks. There's 4 sacks and an INT. So that's pretty impressive by her. Again, Annabelle Broussard and Women's C with the Valkyries. We have Maxime Baudouin. So Maxime Baudouin from Lisbon Le Flags. Again, I think I did his game last week. 19 completions, 195 yards, 7 touchdowns for Lisbon Le Flag. So it's a pretty impressive performance. His teammate Benjamin Lavallee. So yeah, this is the game I scored for last week at Papineau. 7 catches, 83 yards, and 4 TDs. He also added a sack on defense. Again, I talked about this team last week. I came away really impressed with Lisbois Le Flag. They got some speed and athleticism on their team, both male and female. Fabrice Pierre from Division D1 with the Pacemakers. He had 1 offensive TD. He had 3 sacks. So shout out to Fabrice Pierre. Talik Batiste, 5 catches, 120 yards, 4 TDs, and an INT on defense with mismatch or the mismatch. And co-ed 1. Again, I've talked about this guy in the finals and the winter finals. Like I came away really impressed. I know he played a game of Ice Pack. Like this guy can ball. Talik Batiste needs to be playing. Well, he's in co-ed 1. That's a pretty high division, but even in 6v6 and 5v5, get Talik Batiste on your team because this guy can ball. I promise you. And I think that is it for this week. All right. So that'll pretty much do it this week. We had a couple other questions, but again, we went a little long with the interviews. But again, a big thank you to the guys who came on, Brady, Ohanessian, and Anthony Siggia. I know we went a little long, but it's more important to hear from people to come on the show than just to hear from Quaysie and I. Again, we're looking for some people for next week. There's a couple people that have reached out to me already, and I've reached out to that want to come on. But again, female, male, you're more than welcome. Please come on to the pod. Talk some ball, talk your story, whatever. Any projects you have going on, you want to come and pump. Feel free to come on and do that. This has been the latest episode of FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. A big shout out to the main man, Ali Reza, for holding it down as always. Thank you, good sir. We will see you next time. And I will say Jazz Fest is done, but the summer is not. Get out there. I had a chance earlier today when I was at work, working from home. I was watching France. They knocked off Morocco. I want to give a shout out to 2 buddies of mine, my main man, Taha and Killa Kali. I know they're crying right now because Morocco is done, but it is what it is. I picked France to go all the way. I think Mbappe is the MVP of he gets the golden boot or whatever it's called there. I don't like what happened with Messi the other day. I mean, I love Messi. I think he is the GOAT right now. But again, I will say that Argentina, they shouldn't have won that game. That's I think anyone that has a pair of eyes realizes that Argentina was they got helped. They got helped a little bit by the refs. I don't know. You have any thoughts on that, Ali Reza? Are you watching the World Cup right now?
Yes, I'm actually watching the World Cup. No comments on that play because the same way that Iran got robbed, let's say, from in the match with versus Egypt. We call it robbed, but I don't know if it is actually true. But same thing happened to them, and they were unhappy. So I feel like when you're on the good side of it, you're always happy, or it's a good call from the ref. But when you're on the other side, you're never happy about it because you blame it. It's the nature of sports, in personal opinion.
True.
But I would like to call Messi the SGA of FIFA. So.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Argentina did get screwed, but you're right. Iran got screwed before that. I feel bad, like even against Portugal and Croatia, man. I think Modric guys, I think they should have. Yeah. Anyways, it is what it is. It's the World Cup. They want Messi to be in the finals, if not obviously win it all, and it is what it is. It still doesn't take away from a lot of the great soccer we've been seeing throughout the tournament. I'm not the biggest soccer fan, but I do get invested in the World Cup, so I think it is awesome. Because that's when you see the least amount of diving. I mean, there's still a couple of snipers in the crowd there taking out some of these players. At least based off the reactions that we see. But I think you see a little bit less of that, and a little bit more, country pride and just playing for the pride of the game when the World Cup rolls around. Obviously, Canada's gone. That's kind of heartbreaking. They had a good run. Team USA, though, I will say, Team USA couldn't be happier that they're gone. I'm not a Team USA hater. It's just the fact that Trump intervened and he's talking to FIFA and he wanted to get the. I think the red card. Balogun, I think that's what his last name is. I'm not sure if he should have got a red card, but then the fact that they had Trump. Or Trump, but Trump went and talked to the FIFA and he's acting like he's the reason why. As soon as Trump got involved, it was going downhill. Same thing with my Knicks, right? Trump came to game 3, we lost game 3. The only game we lost against the Spurs. There's a reason for that. And if anything, you're making Belgium come together more. And they even said it themselves, Belgium, after the game, right? They were like, oh, when he got involved, that caused us to kind of rally around each other and feel like it's us against the world. And that's rightfully so, right? I mean, it's Team USA. It is what it is. They're gone. I couldn't be happier. World Cup's going to be good again. I'm still picking Spain. I'm still picking France, I should say, to win it all. My team is England, I will say, and if they win, I won't be mad. I am in a pool. I did pick France, but England, I like what they're doing. Big win over Mexico the other day. That was a fantastic game. I felt bad for the people that, for obviously cheering for Mexico because they're one of the host countries, and it would be kind of dope to see them win. But it is what it is. The World Cup's been exciting. FPF is super exciting. The race for the playoffs are heating up. You can't ask for anything more. Weather today is not the greatest, but again, it's raining. Still better than minus 10, shoveling out snow and trying to move my car and all that stuff and falling down, people falling everywhere on the ice. Yeah, I'll take this any time in the week. And now, I'm sure you want to go. I want to go too. It's been a good one. Ali Reza, thank you. We'll see you guys next week. And have a good one. Enjoy the weekend. Peace.